This meeting is being broadcast on local cable TV and recorded for rebroadcast on the local cable channels and on the internet. First item of business is a presentation about the Kentucky FY19 budget.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you. Can you make sure that microphone's on, please? Thank you. You got to talk right into it.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for inviting Greg and me to attend the meeting tonight. We're always happy to come and talk to you about our budget plans. This year,
our finance committee is also in the audience, so a joint.
Very good. I think I recognize a few people. We also have Chris Redden and Andy Murphy with us tonight from the school committee. And as I was saying, this year, as in the past, we focused our efforts, our attentions, our resources on 5 big picture objectives. And I think the one that really captures our attention for this coming year is the curriculum. And by that I mean we put in a lot of effort into establishing a challenging curriculum in Kentucky, and now is time through our revision process to resource it. And that's really the only change so far that I think will be moving forward. The school committee has met one time for a public hearing on the budget, and based upon that conversation, I'm not as confident that some of the positions that we had hoped to move forward, a custodial position, a foreign language teacher at the elementary school, additional language, and a position to help address some of the social emotional needs that we see emerging at the secondary level. I'm not confident that those will be moving forward, but I am really confident that the curriculum initiative will. So that part's good news. As in the past, we like to see slow, continuous growth in the district, where we're able to manage our operational budget within the means of the town, so that we're not pushing excessively on any towns. And we're happy to answer any questions that you might have for us.
Is that a, Mr. Chairman?
Sure, go ahead.
So when you say, I'm not sure how you phrase that, the growth, I think, of trying not to burden individual towns on one particular year with increased taxes, that's obviously self-imposed. And like, what do you try to? Because I guess when you say when we might not get the janitor, we might not get the foreign language person, we might not get the needs met for the emotional development. Or I'm sorry, I'm not saying that correctly. Well, we could if the budgets were a little bit bigger.
That's right. So each town has Proposition 2.5 as sort of a ceiling, and we try to manage our budget within a 2.5% increase so that it doesn't come back at you with a huge increase each year. I think in the past, rather than managing slow growth over time, it was a matter of transferring not only what was needed, but also some nice to haves, not just the essentials, over to the town side. And so we've tried to manage that in a more reasonable way so that we're not forcing overrides year to year in the town.
So the school committee is going to officially vote the budget tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Is there a budget or a choice of 2 budgets that they're going to be voting between, or when are they going to be voting? Well, I know the meeting is tomorrow.
Yeah, the meeting's tomorrow. So we provided scenarios for them to consider. So the first scenario, for instance, would be to push the entire amount of.
It was 4, right?
Yeah.
You kind of narrowed it down to 2.
Yeah, we kind of narrowed it down to 2, and then over the course of from the hearing to the end of Friday, we were managing and that to see if we couldn't come closer to balancing, what we need with what might be a reasonable approach to towns. So I think generally it's seen as neither transferring all of the need to the towns nor cutting positions. You may have heard, like through the newspapers, that sort of thing. The kinds of cuts that some of the districts are having to make. We have, like other districts, continuing escalation of special education costs, transportation costs. We're not different from other districts in that way, but we're trying to manage it in a way that won't push excessively on you or result in excessive cuts in our district.
Can I ask where you find? So if you had, I'm not trying to manage, I'm just trying to get a range of impact to West Newbury. So like, what is the percentage increase if you had a range of the scenarios that Dr. Mulcahy is talking about?
Actually, because we call this right now just spending.
Say that again?
We call it right now spending plan is what I call it, because until the school committee votes it.
It's not a budget, correct.
So we kind of, I don't try to do all these different scenarios. We did do them. The basic one they came up with that they're going to go forward with the school committee with tomorrow night would be a budget of $39,802,239, which would be an increase to West Newbury based upon the two-step, our favorite little world.
And we're getting hit harder with that this year than the other two. Correct.
You had kind of had an easy time the last couple of years, and this year here it kind of turned again. The increase in actual dollars to you would be $374,068. From the initial budget book you see before you, that would be a decrease of $93,609, and your actual assessment increase year over year is 5.07%.
The two-step process is really an important thing to understand, and it's not just a matter of dividing up the increases among the towns, it also has to do with town wealth. And occasionally it will go to one town to another where it's bigger involved.
That's about what
What I'm seeing, Mr. Chairman, what I'm seeing, thanks. What I'm seeing in this budget, this is the big one. Thank you. I love them like this too. They're beautiful. I love this. Yeah. There's really no money for maintenance of any of the buildings. Am I reading?
They're increasing a little bit this year for the first
Okay, so
time in a while.
can you show that to me?
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Because everywhere I've looked, I see zeros. These pages aren't. Oh, okay. Let's go by lines because the pages aren't numbered. So give me a line number, please.
So we used to look at it by account code, but I don't know if there's the account code in this. You see contracted services for building maintenance.
You have a line?
Yeah, lines 308 to 313. Again, it's not a lot. You start to see it go up a little bit.
And what does that mean?
So define that, yeah.
The contracted services lines are the lines for inspections and required services, fire extinguisher things, elevator inspections, general, whatever is required for fire safety cleaning purposes, those type of things. Then the maintenance line, you're right, you're gonna see zeros for those particular ones. Because basically at this point here, the facilities director thinks that those line items are available to him. We do have a secondary line for in the section, probably section 4.
So hold on for 1 second. So maybe I don't understand your budget.
He's saying right now that those budget line items are adequate.
Okay, so that's what I want. That's the question I want to ask. So when I see zeros, that doesn't mean that there's a zero in that
No,
line
that's the
item.
increase.
That's the increase.
Right. So you're
Okay.
So for example, it's still 7,500, 17,000, 15, 22, 12, 28, and 90. And
So grounds maintenance equipment supplies
right, that's
is just that has I'm just using it as an example. That's 304. 304. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
So that's $20,000. So within that, you have ground supplies, ground equipment, grounds maintenance. There's a bunch of them, and they're all zeros.
Right,
So-
those were all left in there. The state likes to keep a 5-year tracking run of anything you've ever used. That means those accounts at one point were used. With all the stuff going on with the new schools, I just haven't had a chance to hop into the accounting system and eliminate all of them, because we don't really use them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So those accounts are there for tracking, but not really used. In the grounds, at some point, they actually had ground supplies, and when you see them broke up, that means they created an account code for every single school.
I figured that, yeah.
But the line item there, as Glenn just brought up, is for the last 4 years, is flat. It was 19,691, then 2020, so we don't know the actuals, but it hasn't had an increase in 4 years.
No, and if you look at the actual spending from the lines, it really doesn't warrant it.
It doesn't, okay.
Fiscal 16, we spent 16.9, fiscal 17, we spent 19,000. It seems to be about that. You can't really say when trucking going to break, but our equipment has been upgraded fairly significantly over the
I was just using it as an example.
No, by all means, ask me questions.
Yeah, you know, I have no, it wasn't that I was questioning you or the department on that, I just was trying to use it as an example,
Yeah,
so I could better understand the budget.
Yeah, so you'll see a lot of those duplicated accounts are just something that we create in the accounting system.
I understand, we put $1 in some, on ours if we're not using it, just to keep the line item there for future use if necessary.
We go up on some supply lines based upon what we're seeing for expenditures. For paper towels, things like that, all the cleaning supplies. For the first time in quite a while, we've got up a little bit on that. It's not a ton, but $3,000 for supplies. That's not.
So the overall, without dissecting it, when I looked at it, my overall opinion was, wow, they're not increasing any of the maintenance, the day-to-day maintenance of the building. So, but you're saying that you,
as I said, if you look, you have the budget, in one of the budget book in front of us. In section 4, we have what we call our reserve. There are reserve accounts. Merrimack.
what's section 4? Wait, I'm going by lines, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, that's a second section of the book. We do have some revolving accounts.
I don't have the book.
You do have them.
It's in your, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, you're right, we do. No, we have it, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, she gave it to us, I'm sorry.
We call these are the special revenue accounts, and I
Yep.
like to present them in the book, because you'll always hear there's a whole bunch of money that's our system, and I don't like I said, I want to be as transparent as possible and show everything. Included in this is the district-wide use of facility account, which is our Fund 250. Those are funds that are available should something happen that's under $10,000, and a $9,000 repair can happen at any one time. This is money I can use to back into that, so it doesn't have a negative funding effect on the thing. Some years we don't need it, and it grows, and some years we need it a lot, and we get to draw it down. I use these accounts more of a smoothing effect, so to speak. You heard Dr. Mulkey talk about special education and things like that. Obviously, circuit breaker is a big deal with that. That's carried in our book account, so the state reimburses us some of the costs due to the special needs students. Now, we're tapping into that fairly heavily to get through this year because of a whole bunch of things that happened after the budget was passed. And instead of going up hugely next year, I'm also going to be tapping into that as part of the smoothing effect as well, so we can carry it too. But to repurpose it back, we're holding a little bit of a spending freeze going forward this year, so I can be able to allocate more costs, so I can kind of rebuild that back up, so it's not a jolt to fiscal year 20. We talked about being consistent and revolving. When we do these spending plans, I'm not looking at next year. It's irrelevant. It's poignant because it makes your budget and things like that. But we're more concerned what's going to happen in year 2, 3.
Something like circuit breaker, does the state reimburse you ongoing, or do you tally everything up at the end of June and then get reimbursed in the next fiscal year? How does that work? So in other words, are you getting last year's money this year, or how does that work?
Exactly correct. It's delayed by a year. What they do is they take the foundation budget, whatever that number is statewide, the average, multiply it by 4, and that becomes the base. So say the number, for the sake of argument, is 50,000, and you have a child who has an eligible cost of 100,000. The district will pay for the first 50,000, and they're supposed to pay at least 75% of the next 50,000. This year here, part of the problem was I assumed that we'd be getting our 75% when the governor's budget finally came out in early July of last they only put 65%, that cost us $140,000. So, again, they make the rules, and we just have to, we have to play with them.
Yeah, after a budget's done. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I know the state's going around talking to different towns saying you should hold your town meetings later because you'll have more accurate numbers. And my response to that always was, really? Because the last time you've done a budget by the beginning of June, I can't remember. So what difference would it make?
Right.
You know, we can change all our bylaws and things and move around, but what difference would it make? Unless you're going to guarantee us you're going to have a budget ready by, the 1st of May, what difference would it make? And they don't. So.
I think on balance, you've done a good job juggling a lot of issues.
I agree.
I had one, I don't wanna get too lost in the weeds here, but I had one question. The E&D account was put down as revenue and an expenditure, and I was confused by that.
Because what we do is we changed the policy a few years ago. If you were, I'm not sure if you were around or not, but I'm sure Glenn and Joe remember it. They used to use E&D funds in the prior years to support the budget for the next year.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of like you guys using your free cash to pay for police officers. It's not a really sound financial way of doing things.
Mhm. So
what we do is whatever we put into E&D now gets transferred to our stabilization account. And now we updated the policy to also include OPEB. So this will be the first year in the budget cycle that we're beginning to fund OPEB. You guys have done a wonderful job with that. I think you're the only town in the world I know of that's fully funded it. But
we are in Massachusetts.
But it wouldn't surprise me at all. But it's one of those nice things you'd like to do. It's always been kind of an in and out account. Yes, more people go to retirement, but a lot of people in retirement pass away, and it kind of works out that way. But as we're looking forward for a fairly large capital expense, we hope, I probably should get in line with GASB and make sure we have an account set up and have it fully funded if we're going to be borrowing money because it looks good to the rating agency.
Mm-hmm.
So we've changed it to we put money into both E&D and our stabilization and the OPEB account. There's not much money in stabilization right now, because we paid for the architect and the OPM for the building project.
That's where that money came from.
Mr. Chairman, can we ask the Finance Committee if they'd like to weigh in?
Good call, yeah.
But you need to grab a microphone if you do, please. If you could talk louder too, so people could hear you in the room.
Sorry. So the biggest concern I had looking at the proposed budget was not necessarily the shortfall for this year, but the fact that I don't really see a proposed mechanism to correct that shortfall in the long term. So that was the thing that was most concerning to me looking over the budget.
The shortfall in what particular area?
Well, I think that it looked like about 3% off this year going forward as far as the budget with projected growth of expenses. And there's kind of a comment that perhaps the towns can all pay more money each year, but if there's an ongoing deficit from year to year, I just don't see what the solution is going forward.
No.
Hold on, don't answer that if you don't have a microphone. Just wait until because everybody's going to want to know. Think.
Yeah. Our budget basically 70% of it is salaries and insurance benefits. We negotiate all our contracts with a max value of 2.5, or fairly close to it. And we switched our health insurance to the GIC, which has been godsend for us because I think this year our increase is less than 2% overall. So that part of it we can handle. The part where we run into problems, and as you saw, the expenditures we pretty much have in line, maintenance, those type of things. The area we can't control at all is special education. And that's the area that scares me most because we could pass this budget tomorrow night, you guys can vote it in May, and we could have a move in like we did last year, not even another town, another state, not even a different time zone. And suddenly you have a $300,000 expense that you have to deal with. That's the bigger problem we have going forward. But the union contracts and things like that, we have most of that under control in all the expenditures. Yeah, if I could, basically, we came into this budget book that you see here, there's a $650,000 roughly deficit over a normal we'd expect to get from the towns. Our special ed increases this year, a little over $1 million. So So if that,
Do you understand? I
if
mean,
that had stayed in
you-
line with everything else, we would be just fine. We wouldn't even be asking you for the amount of money we are asking for. So that's, but we do try to control everything we can control. And as I mentioned before, going forward, I do have some smoothing mechanisms in here, so I don't really need to hammer anybody as much as I don't want to, so.
that forum they had over in Triton to try to address the special ed and all that, did you think anything is going to come of that? Or anything? Or is there anything we can do as town? Is there anything we can do as towns to pressure? Because there needs to be a, I mean, we set a budget to try to educate our kids properly, then all of a sudden, unforeseen, we have $300,000 worth of special ed. That's justified, we should be, but it blows our budget up. We can't go back to the towns to redo a budget. Then we have to lay off teachers, we have to do less maintenance to our schools, we have to do everything, because you can't run in a deficit.
Yeah, we had our meeting over in Merrimack, a similar question came up. Who's advocating for us? Who's kind of leading the charge to make sure people know about this? And so how I responded is, well, we have had our own legislative meetings here in the district. We brought them together to talk about the special education costs, annual escalating costs that we don't have control over. And we wondered how the state could help us with that. We've also got the Massachusetts Association of Regional School Districts that's an advocate at the state level. The difficulty is that we're in the minority. We don't really have that much clout. So we can represent that over and over again, but because we're not the ones that are power brokers in this whole thing. You know,
At a state level, we get outvoted.
exactly.
What
But hold on for 1
percentage
second.
of say, districts or students in the Commonwealth are regional districts versus, big cities or
That's the
something?
problem.
That's the
No,
problem.
but what is it? Is it very small comparatively, or, I don't know?
Well, there aren't very many regional districts compared to individual districts.
90-10 maybe?
Yeah, we have transportation issues that they don't have because by virtue of us having a large area to service, we have more transportation. We're supposed to get more transportation assistance. That's part of the efficiencies of regionalization. That doesn't seem to happen a whole lot. The mechanisms.
If we were gonna get one thing, it's probably the one thing that we would be most, in my opinion, at least, most likely to be able to get.
What?
The transportation.
That was the carrot they did years ago and wanting us to do it, and they said we'll pay for but the transportation has been going down and down and down.
We lobby as best we can, but in the long run, we don't have the clout that it would take to actually change the votes in the state. That's a good question.
Can I ask a question? I just want a bigger clarification on that. So, as being a regional school district, we're unique when it comes to funding the special education. Wouldn't we be, when you say we don't have the clout about the special ed, aren't, just hypothetically, Amesbury, because you just have one district, aren't they the one, don't they fall into the same problem after they approve a budget if somebody moves in and they have needs? So it's not unique to the way it is. Okay, I thought you were saying it was unique to us. Okay.
Transportation.
I know transportation is. Okay, I did. Okay, thank you.
So if you've read the articles around the local towns, Amesbury, Newburyport, Triton's issues, they all seem to be special ed related more, because I don't count on us suddenly getting 100% transportation aid when I build a budget. But I try to sit down and take our best shot at special education. But again, you budget for what you know. That's all you really can do. I can't come to the towns and say I need this much money, and they'll say, what are these 6 slots? And say, I left 6 slots open in case people move in.
I have
It's not responsible.
I have a feeling. I have a gut feeling that we might get. Yeah, you can't do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a guessing game. Microphone, please.
How does school choice affect the budget? Or how's it projected to affect the budget going forward? Because there was some mention of that in the report as well.
That's why we invited him, because we really didn't have any good questions. It's the FinCom that has the good questions.
Yeah, that's a lit.
I want to say it was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. The school committee decided, based upon speaking with the FinComs as well as the boards of selectmen, that it didn't seem to make a lot of sense to be allowing students to come in who don't live within the borders of our towns and receive $5,000 per child for doing it, when we were spending, at the time, 13 and now closer to 16,000 per child to educate them. It seemed like a loss leader. We were keeping things around. So, yes, we are losing revenue. At one point, we took in nearly over $1 million a year of school choice, and this year we're probably taking in close to 350,000. Again, we've been weeding our way up the budget, so to speak, to help it. To make it even simpler, right? All I have in charge of the school choice account now is in custodial salaries. So you'll see like big increases in custodial salaries. It's less money coming out of the revolving account will be included into the regular account.
And so one additional thing about school choice is there's nothing inherently bad about school choice, right? But if you have an overdependence on it, and it starts to evolve into this negative cycle of having to have more
Teachers.
$5,000 increments to pay for the increase in faculty that you have. So right now, in the upcoming year, this next year, I think we're at the last year of having elementary school seats for school choice. So I don't think there are any more school choice seats, students with school choice seats at the elementary level. I think there'll be more at the middle and high school level as we go forward.
Is they were grandfathered in. They stopped taking new ones, so they're not going.
They
So
have to matriculate through the system.
exactly. So
That's still the current policy, so we don't take school choice anymore. Is that correct?
It's not a policy, it's voted annually. So I come annually in the spring to the school committee, and I say, here are the number of seats that are available for school choice. And the school committee votes to either approve that number or some other number. And in the past 5 years, they've been approving 0 seats. So at the high school level, it's less problematic to have a school choice student because you don't schedule like you do. You don't have home rooms going around with each other. 5th grade has a certain number of students in each 5th grade. In 10th grade, they all take different courses. They're all mixed up all the time. You see what I'm saying? So a couple of students at the high school level or even at the middle school level for school choice, that doesn't have the same impact as it would at the elementary.
the theory was, if we had 9 kids in a classroom, why not take some school choice? Because we still have to pay that teacher the same amount. Your fixed cost is the same, the 9 kids. So why don't we bring in 5 or 6 more kids, get $5, and have an extra $30,000 because now that teacher has teaching 16 kids, which is kind of optimal, or whatever it is. But we found out through the whole thing is, well, we're only getting $5,000. It costs, back then it was $12,000 or $13,000. We're pushing the limits of those classes more in the 20s, but we're only getting 5, and then the kids, you know what I mean? So it wasn't really worth it.
Is there a way to make one match the other so that we can update the price for school choice to reflect the actual cost of their education?
Well, that price is given to, no, and they actually look at it they do it annually, so they're actually really on top of it. So you can, rather than just saying, hey, we're going to take school choice kids, they look at it annual. Yeah. No, that's a fixed cost, a fixed price that we get.
But suffice it to say, there's probably.
Yeah. It's not like you can say somebody from another town, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they said, I really would like to come in and have my child go to Page or go to our high school. And they say, okay, are you willing to pay $22,000? And you know what I mean? No, we just get the $5,000, so you can't negotiate that price. That's from the state.
But suffice it to say that program's already been kind of ramped down, so there's probably not going to be a whole lot of savings to try and close that 3% shortfall in that week. Is that the conclusion?
Mm-hmm.
You guys have any questions?
Anybody in the audience that has a question related to this?
Do you have any questions of us?
No, we appreciate your good support. Each of the towns has been a really good supporter of the school district every year. And we try to do our best. We know you try to do your best, and together we all make a difference. So.
I think we have what you were talking about tonight. I would actually like to see more teachers and more whatever. So, but I think we've budgeted for what you've talked about already. Even though we knew it was going to, because of that 2-step method, we were actually going to take a bigger hit than the other, percentage-wise, than the other
Well, we
towns.
recognize that you are trying to, the towns do have that 2.5% ceiling, and you're trying to deal with that.
But an override every once in a while to keep programs and stuff isn't a small one. Every once in a while to keep some programs and keep going forward isn't a bad thing, rather than just hitting us on one lump. That's my own personal opinion.
We're not reducing any programs, I wouldn't make that.
No.
I mean,
No, I'm just saying
Maybe
if.
we could
I said
say-
if. I'm not saying,
Yeah.
I'm not making specific references to this particular budget. I'm just saying when we're talking about the future stuff like that. We appreciate the 2.5 aspect of it, but there's nothing wrong, I don't think, with some small increments if we could increase the education or keep teachers and keep classroom sizes down at a respectable level, rather than, what I'm talking about.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for coming.
thank you.
Can we take something out of that? Garden club.
No, let's get them out of there.
Yeah, but get the garden club and then let's go to the school update because everybody's here for that. You know what I mean? Are you guys done for the night? Or are you going back upstairs?
No, we're not done. You can fit us in wherever you want, so.
Did you have any specific questions that you wanted to ask us that you could discuss when you go back upstairs? Or would it be better to try to get some of these people home?
Probably better get these guys home. We have a bunch of articles to review, things like that. Just whenever you're ready to set someone.
Okay, we'll probably be, what's that?
Look, see that? Yeah. No. I am the onions, grab one. Okay.
Can I just, I make a comment, kind of the budget, but it touches on something that, you had asked about before. And I had actually gone to the Triton Regional Finance, forum that they had, and they had quite a few of the local legislators who were there.
Mm-hmm.
Two things that I came away with. One is that the state auditor did a report, and I don't know who has seen it. It's a big report, but essentially what it says is the state has not been funding education the way it should. It touches upon regional finance. One of her recommendations is to pay that at 100%. So you say, okay, that's great. What's going to happen with that? But what Senator Tarr brought up that night, and it's something that I think we need to talk to our local legislators about, is that we're going to have a whole new funding of revenue through the casinos, and that's money that's supposed to evidently at some point go towards education. We need to make sure that in the state it goes to education, but that it also goes to the things that the auditor is saying that hasn't been funded. So regional transportation, the special ed costs, because I think that's across the state that's an issue. So it's something that I think is worth keeping in mind as we continue on, and also to push the legislators to make sure that they don't shortchange us. Because it is supposed to go towards the needs and education in the state.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
So-
that was an it was a very informative forum.
So let's have them come in a future meeting. We could have a joint one with everybody here, maybe,
Yep, I think within the region. I think there's a lot of, there's Facebook groups now. It's something that's hitting across the state. Western Mass is really, really bad because they're all regionalized and they're much more spread out than we are. So they're having much more a financial burden, and they're really struggling with it.
Well, probably sooner than later, because I think everybody's going to be wanting some of that money.
Well, it is.
And
but
if you
that's
don't
why
fight for
if
it,
you start,
you don't-
then,
they don't-
it's going to start hitting next year probably as these open up. So we want to make sure that we're in the game and that we get something out of that.
What about what was the pot revenue? The pot revenue was supposed to be. When they want a vice passed, they always say it's for the children. So
Yeah, no, I know.
they
But I think casinos, Senator Tarr said that
Did he?
originally that was what
Okay.
it was for.
So we'll keep in
So I
touch
think
and
it's
let's
definitely
organize something.
worthwhile.
Okay, great. Thank you. Everybody's going to be after that money. MBTA.
We might, if the other selectmen agree, I'd like to take something out of order. We might do a quick update on the
How fast is
construction.
the garden club going to be?
That's up to you. That's up to you, Glenn.
It's up to me. Well, there's hopefully a lot of people that that, am I on my, okay, yeah, let's do it now, before they,
Do which first?
I would do the garden club. I think that'd be a lot shorter than the page school update.
Yeah, it's up to you.
And I don't want to rush through the page school update. That's my thing.
Thank you, I appreciate that. My name is Kathy Manuel. I live at 2 Ridgeway Circle, and I'm president of the Newbury Garden Club. We again are expecting a huge storm in a couple of days, but we're talking about the plant sale that we've been involved with in the town for several years. Our club is 82 years old now. It is our major fundraising event. The proceeds from the plant sale and the bake sale together go toward town activities, toward scholarships. Last year we were able to fund 3 $1,000 scholarships. We do holiday decorating in all municipal buildings. We take care of 7 or 8 town gardens in town, including the library. And we have submitted, in anticipation of the plant sale and much in advance, a request for a special event. We have a copy of the new sign ordinance. You have in front of you that submitted for a request to have signs. We have traditionally had them at Ferry Lane and at the training field, and we would again like to have them for.
So you're in front of us tonight for what reason, Mr. Chairman? Why are they in front of us tonight?
I was just going to ask. So your asks are for the special event
Right.
on the training field, and since the Park and Rec for Conservation, which I'm not sure which controls Ferry Lane, you're also asking us for a sign on the training field. So those are the two things.
Yes.
We can't give you a set. We can't approve a sign for Ferry Lane.
I do have a email which is enclosed with materials I presented, which is a support from the Parks and Rec.
Yeah, but we don't have the ability to authorize that. They're the only ones they're the ones who manage
But
that.
she's not asking for that.
Oh, I thought she said she was.
Well, it said, listening to your November town meeting or selectmen's meeting, we were talking about the essentials of getting permission from people. I wanted to be respectful to the commissions, the Cultural Commission District that manages training field as a part of the district, as well as Parks and Rec. I talked to Tom, and I have emails from both of those commissions indicating that they have no opposition to our having signs.
Okay. I just want to be able to say it because I want to make sure it's clear.
Yeah.
Ferry Lane, we have no control over approving that sign or not.
Okay.
You have to go to Park and Rec. They have to vote it. So just to give you an example, a real quick example, the ball field behind here, that land was given to Park and Rec to manage for the children. Anything that happens out there, we have no say on it because the people who donated that field gave it to Park and Rec. They have that.
Park and Rec, thank you.
Yep. So I just didn't want you still have to go to, if they have no, that email might be good enough for them. You know what I mean? For them saying that you can put one up there. But the training field is us.
That's our purpose. Despite
Yes.
so
We've had the sign up for many years. I've been told by older garden club members that years ago there used to be a sign that hung over Main Street when banners were hung.
It wasn't even that, I remember it, so it wasn't, it was up, yeah, it wasn't even down there, it was more near Coffin Street, if I'm not mistaken. But, yeah, I remember that.
when are you asking for the sign?
We typically put it up, and we've been doing this for a while, 2 weeks before, and we take it down the day of. In the ordinance for the town signs, there is a maximum amount of square footage. Our current banner is slightly bigger than that, so that's a separate request if you go ahead and approve our being able to hang up the banner.
That's a town bylaw.
Can we approve a sign bigger than a town bylaw? I don't think we can.
No.
Can you?
It says,
Okay, so let's,
no, but somebody did bad math here. Sorry, but it says the sign shall not exceed 32 square feet.
Right.
And then it says the sign is 12 by 2, which, at
24.
least in my, that's 24. not
That's 24.
36.
No, it's not 12 by 2.
What is
12 by
But
3,
it-
that's why.
it's
You made a
what?
mistake with the
It's
three.
12 by
It's
3.
12 by 3.
It's 36.
Oh,
So it is too big.
okay.
Okay, can we do something right here? Can we take these two things separately?
Sure,
I want to take the special events thing. I want to make a motion to grant
on May 19th, second.
on May 19th the special events.
Discussion?
This discussion. Ooh, hold on. The discussion is for this is that security. A policeman to direct pedestrian has been requested by. I would assume that would be by our police chief.
Yes.
Okay. Fire watch detail.
So you should say approve as outlined in the special.
Correct. In any recommendations that any. Yep. Perfect.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So the sign has to be 32 square foot maximum.
32, yeah, 232 square feet.
Yeah, and that's a bylaw, we can't.
That's fine. So, then I ask for permission for us to put that sign on the train field. We will have another one made that is the correct size.
Well, I think you all know where I stand on this.
No.
You really want to go through all this again?
You said we were gonna be quick.
Okay, because I use this analogy as I am going to vote no on this, not because I don't feel that it's a good thing, or even if I don't want the sign there. I want everybody in every other organization to have the same ability. The youth leagues, anything that happens, have the same ability to put a sign there, and I don't think they do. Years and years and years ago, before you two were on the Board of Selectmen, we were asked by that people on the training field that if we would create a policy of not having any more signs on the training field. And I specifically asked them, are you sure about that? The garden club always has one. And they said yes. So, because I knew this was going to be a bone of contention down the line. So I'm not against the garden club having a sign there. I'm against us only allowing the garden club and not being fair to all the other taxpayers in town. So if we're going to let everybody else do it, then I will vote yes. If we're not going to let everybody else do it, I have to vote no.
And in the past, the rationale for approving the request was, as Kathy stated, this has happened for years and years going back, so we viewed it as something that was grandfathered.
And,
But so the genie-
and that is where the event is.
I'm giving you my reason. I'm not going to change now.
I know.
But the Jeannie Geiger,
Okay, can we
I would assume would be a good organization that fights things for abusive women that are abused. Had it there forever, and we're not allowing them to do it there anymore.
Nobody else, that's correct.
So-
I move to approve the sign, 32 square foot maximum, which is a town by law, maximum of 2 weeks.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
No.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
I'll still be there setting up tables like I did last year and helping you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And, it's all those shrimp trays that you ate at your function on Thursday,
And they were delicious.
that I provided, I'll still do that, but it's just a personal thing with me that I think everybody should be treated the same.
Glenn, I respect your consistency. I do. Okay, can I take the update on the Page School out of order? Gentlemen, have any objection to that?
No, please.
Okay.
Gary? You wouldn't mind sitting up there, please?
So, Gary, can you tell us, there's
Can I-
basically...
There's a lot of things that happened last week that he should probably outline.
I want to.
This is one of them.
That's what I want to list them
Okay.
out. So, of the issues at the Page School, so we're trying to remediate the asbestos issue. We have an electrical issue related to the generator that is to be was of concern, is to be addressed. There is the repair after the water damage, and and related to that, the mold, and another issue that had come up related to some openings in the gypsum ceiling that were seen when the drop ceilings were taken down. So let's start with the last thing first. We got a report from the engineer Fitzmyer and Tachi that examined the building last week looking at the openings, determining whether they were a safety issue, whether they were a fire issue, and I'll let Mr. Bill talk to that.
Yeah, we had a engineer, Fitzmyer and Tachi come. They brought their fire and safety specialist engineer to look at all the penetrations throughout the building. And we looked it all over. They went back and spent a couple of days doing research. And at the end of the day, the report says none of the holes are an issue because they're not fire-rated ceilings or walls. So that's basically we're saying the holes technically, well, not technically, they're not an issue for safety.
I'd like to read a couple, a big report here, but I'd like to read a couple lines from this. We just got this afternoon. For example, the F&T, Fitzmyer and Tachi, concludes the following openings do not present an imminent danger to building occupants from a life safety perspective. The opening in the original gypsum ceilings are not required to be fire resistant rated per the applicable building code requirements. And it goes on. The basic premise being that because this is a fully sprinklered building, they it's not an issue. There are a few sites that they would like to have addressed, and they put these down, which are not actually in the ceilings at all, but
We just started.
around walls. So we feel that this is a totally addressable issue, and we're going to go forward with it. But we feel very comfortable that in stating that this is not a safety issue, and the engineers are agreeing with that. We're following their recommendations. And this, incidentally, these are the people that have been, they have the best knowledge of the building, having been the engineers of the previous phases of the rehabilitation of the building in the past few years. So they're not somebody that took a cursory look at the building. They've been looking at the building for several years.
So we had a water break, obviously. I want to try to break it down so these people understand exactly where we are. Because you had a series of meetings last week, and that we have some news on, this being one of them. So we had a water break. That destruction is still ongoing, being fixed, and due to that destruction, we found some asbestos that needs to be abated. Those people came in, evaluated that last week, and now they're going to be giving you a plan tomorrow to be go forward with abating that in the way they need to do it. Okay, but while they're doing that, we're still the other portions of the bathrooms upstairs, the drywall, all that painting, all that is proceeding while we're doing this. This is a big step because now we can start putting on the suspended ceilings and so forth and so on. So this was a big step. We didn't want to enclose that. So all that's moving forward while we're waiting for them to come in to abate it. And then after they abate it, everything else should be done by then because we're almost there anyway.
Yep, actually today they hung the sheetrock in the boys' bathroom.
Oh wow, okay, great.
First of the week, they're coming in and do the tile floors. They got all the fixtures, everything's there. So the bathroom will probably be done, the rest of the work will probably be done before the floors.
And we had a meeting there last Wednesday with our fire, all of our building personnel, plumbing, electrical, our building inspector, our fire department, our board of health, and we walked through the building, we talked about it, and everything, the fire portion of it was tested, the sprinklers, that's all signed off, all that is good. Now, one thing, after this meeting, I was gonna have us contact, but maybe we don't have to contact the school department. Is there any way we can start, now we're reaching the end, is there any way we can start working with the school department in being able to get portions of that building ready and cleaned, and they have trailers out there, rather than having it all done? You know what I mean by that? We've talked about that. So it would be, rather than just saying, okay, the building's done, handing it over to the school department, and them have to, they have a lot of extensive work that they have to do to try to get the kids back in, and that could delay it even more. Is there any way we can try to start working together with them to try to start staging that school in some capacity?
Well, we can probably, the second floor, I guess the first floor.
It is strange, it's,
You know,
yeah,
not the basement level, the next floor up.
yeah. It's the second, but I think they call it the first.
That room next to the bathrooms, it will probably be pretty much ready in a few days, probably they could start working their way down to that floor, using that, until, rebating work is, down on that first area where those rooms were affected. There's one room further down towards the custodian maintenance area where the generator is, that area. That room possibly could be ready, at the end of the week, the first of the week. So the office area obviously isn't gonna be ready, and the double room that we're making one room in won't be ready until the abatement works. But they could definitely start from the top and be right down to, we'll finish it up, and have everything they need to get ready down to that point. They get cleaning they wanna do, or whatever they wanna do with the rest of the building, it's fine.
Okay?
Gary, can you just, so people sort of know where we're at with the individual things, tell us what the electrical inspector said and what we're gonna do in relation to the generator and the transfer switch for the generator?
Well, we have an article for a town meeting to CPA funds to put a new generator, a new transfer switch, and any other related work needs to be done. So the engineer actually had a meeting in there on Thursday. They want to look at some things, so they're in the process of designing that system. In the meantime, the school is managing the use of electric and breaking it down, so they're all set to use the school until school's up.
And our electrical inspector has given us a letter stating that it's safe and it's not hazardous, and that due to the cold weather, those transfer switches got overworked and they're undersized in the generator, but they've taken some load off of those, and they're gonna with the school, with you, the school district, and our electrical inspector, and understanding and managing it, and that is absolutely fine. There is no hazard, there is no safety issue at all for the kids to go back in. And we're going to address that by putting some new transfer switches in and a new generator in the summer.
Exactly. We had a meeting up there a week or so ago, or a couple of weeks ago. Greg had and Phil telling us that a lot of the boiler work stuff with the school. They come up with a plan acceptable to an electrical inspector to get into to manage the system.
So
we're good on that. That's not an issue until the end of school.
So on the generator, since CPC fund, get a vote from CPC is the 22nd, and 26th, I think, is when we have to finalize things with the finance committee, so it's very late. It's ready.
Is what it is.
Yeah, and the engineering work, I'm paying for that out of funds we already have, so we're not depending on that.
Question? Gotta use the mic. I am, yeah.
Of what?
Of all the issues.
Yeah, so we're suing, yeah. So this is rhetorical questions I'm asking you, because I already know the answers to them, but I want to make sure people understand, because their lives are, upside down because of this. We're almost at the end, and tomorrow, and I know people are tired to hear this, but tomorrow's another big day, because that's when the abatement thing is going to come back, and that's the plan in place, and the person's going to give us an estimate of how long that's going to take. So that's the big key, because, and that's not going to be done in a week. It's probably 2 weeks. You know what I mean? I don't want people to think that's a thing that happens like in a day.
The
Okay.
actual abatement work is, they say it's gonna take 2 weeks. So once that's that's done, they put the floors, that's not gonna take much time. Everything
What,
should wrap up
what,
real quick.
after that is done, Gary, what, would you anticipate any of the regular construction to, what else would
Everything
you?
else should be everything else should be done.
Everything else should be done.
Other than they have to abate it, and then they're gonna put the floors in.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then you gotta get a clean report on the work they've done, they gotta do a little testing, clean it, and then it'll be ready to go.
Dr. Moakman, do you have any questions?
Sounds good.
Do you have any concerns, anything with the skill set?
We need a microphone. Sorry.
Sorry.
This all sounds good. We're happy to move forward with getting the building ready in tandem with Gary's work. And all we're looking for is a letter that states what you all are saying, is that there are no safety hazards, we're ready to go back. That sounds good.
Yeah, but we're not ready to go back. See, that's the key. I mean, working in tandem now, the building's not ready to go back into.
I understand.
You know what I mean? But you're gonna get, before any kids go in there, you'll get all the appropriate documentation from us saying.
That sounds great. But in the meantime, we can work in tandem with Gary to get what we can done so that there's no delay on our part.
Because insurance does pay for that if there's extra costs, correct?
Well, that would be.
Well, related to the.
Well, related to insurance of getting you back in, if we, maybe hypothetically, we need to pay some janitors overtime or get some more staff in to get that building going because of unforeseen stuff, rather than just saying, okay, I only have 2 janitors, they only can do so much, getting some extra.
That's my understanding is that those kinds of costs.
Well, they're only gonna clean and take care of the affected areas, the rest of the school.
Yeah, it's our responsibility. Yes. Sounds
But
good.
they're only technically cleaning like 15 feet from where they work at. That's all.
Yeah, we'll work with Gary to get it done.
Because we could start organizing cleaning tomorrow up on those top floors.
Yeah, they're working up there now, they're painting some walls and stuff, they've been working.
When you say they,
The school.
Okay.
I think you have some questions in the audience.
Yes, sir. Can you, get a mic though?
Yeah, he has to speak, he has to come up here, he's French, he can't understand. So he has to talk loud.
Just a comment rather than a
Oh,
question.
no.
State your name, that's all.
Jack Foley. I just heard from someone watching live, and Selectman Kevin was the only person who was able to hear so far, apparently, on the live stream.
Told you, Joe.
None of the microphones work.
Yes, they do work.
Yeah, the problem is these don't work.
No, they work, you have to put them up close.
That's my comment.
Okay.
Oh, that was an easy one. We are getting new microphones. Sir, you don't have any batteries? Yeah, that's the reason why. Here, right there. That works.
My name is Ray, it's an awful state, taking my time. My questions are somewhat multi-part. Thank you, Dr. Moakman, for being here. Our last meeting that we were at, there was some key terms that I think were being discussed, but we really maybe glad the board to have a little clarification. And one of them was the letter of occupancy, and the other one was, I believe, a vote by the school committee to establish when the emergency was over, a key term was there. I'm not hearing those terms brought up here. I know we mentioned it'd be nice if Dr. Moakman could have been here that day. He's here today, so are those issues now gone for whatever progress we made, or are we no longer concerned about
Well, this
term of letter occupancy? And also, I hate to use the term bucket list, but it seems to be a little bit of a disconnect as to the requirements that the board was getting from the school side compared to what the town considered to be immediate concerns to be rectified in order to get the kids back in. And Glenn, I know I'm being rather general in these comments, but
I understand what you're saying.
Clarify as to what we spoke to last time and what progress we made. Maybe Dr. Moakman could kind of chime in as to.
Well, I'm going to speak, the district all along has been sending us letters saying that they want to make sure the building is safe for the children. And there were certain issues up there that we have addressed and found out they're not safety issues any longer, or that they aren't safety issues. And there is I think the thing about the occupancy permit, after our meeting and everybody says, why don't we just give them another one and so forth, you just can't do that because we have one. So I think I hope, and I'm not going to speak for Dr. Mulqueen, but maybe he can clarify that, is that we have an occupancy permit. Our inspectors and our fire people are going to deem this building, the town, and all the people that are authorized to do that are going to deem this building safe to be occupied again. And we're going to give those letters over to the school district, and I think that will be suffice to get the kids back. And I think we've gotten some common ground, and some areas that were maybe vague or gray have been a lot clearer, and they've been, to us. So that aspect of it. They have been clarified. I think Dr. Mulqueen is going yes. As long as he gets letters from us, from our people, we don't have to issue another occupancy permit. We have one. And then we have the one for the electrical. Our electrician, we've had that letter for a month now, that's going to be taken care of. This engineering report was very important. That will be part of it. And then obviously the abatement and all that will be taken care of. We've been inspecting all along. So, like a regular house, when you build your house, the plumber inspector's up there, so he wouldn't let them put the sheetrock. I know they had some issues with the hot water in the boys' room. It was too hot last week. So they wouldn't allow the people to put the sheetrock in because they got the rough plumb because it was just whatever. So all those things are safe. When you sign off on those permits, that is a safety test within itself because you couldn't sign on. At the end of the day, job's done, the permit is signed off on, like your home. It has to be safe, and all those things had to have been done.
But I understand that.
Yep.
And I think you may have answered the question. It seemed to be a disconnect the last time we all met.
Yep.
As to what the town was trying to do in order to provide a safe environment. Which
Yep.
is totally articulated and understandable.
Yep.
And as to what maybe the school district was considering a safe environment.
Yep.
I think what you're saying, and clarification is great, have we come to a common ground on the bucket list items, quote unquote, that you had mentioned that the district was proposing to the town? Are we at the
Yes.
same page now? Or
Yes.
is it still a disconnect?
Yes.
Yes. We are on the same page, and we're on the same page good enough, if that's even proper English, that we're going to start working with the district, as you heard tonight. Not my suggestion, but it would just seem to be common sense that rather than we have buildings up, we have floors up there that we could start working on and getting the kids in. The insurance is going to pay for it if we need extra people. Start lugging stuff up there. There's plenty of entrances. There's only a small. You wouldn't believe the small area, and one of the areas is in an entrance thing we don't even use anymore. It's underneath the old, the old entrance. The one that's with the big stairs going up. There's that door that comes around there that nobody even uses anymore. That's one of the affected areas.
That is used.
Well, not you.
After school program, right?
And the exit, that's where we exit. And that's where they exit for pickup too, so it's used.
I thought you said they weren't using that anymore.
First classroom, yeah.
It's used.
Well, no, we have to. If that was being used, that's not a good door to be being used because it's going to be a lot better when you get there if you're using that building than what I saw last Wednesday. Trust me. So yes to your answer, Ray.
Thank you.
Other questions?
I am Erin Axon. And I just have a question. You mentioned that you were requesting CPC money in March, the end of the month of March.
That's the next meeting.
So does all of this have to wait and then be approved?
Okay. So we're fixing the generator that's outside. It's undersized, and it's old. You can't even get parts for it anymore. We have to engineer that, and we have $60,000 in a fund at the Page School. We're using that money for engineering the thing. We're going to replace the generator in the summer. It has nothing to do with it. We just have a meeting. The CPC meeting is the next meeting they have is March 22nd. They have to approve it to be able to go to town meeting. So this has nothing to do, that aspect of it, it has nothing to do with the occupancy. What we're doing is that we've worked with our electrical inspector in the district in Gary to take some load off that generator and those switches that are undersized, so they don't, a load means just like if you were at home, you have an extension cord, you take a light off so you wouldn't blow a circuit breaker because you have a hair dryer on. They're taking a few things on there. He's worked with Greg Haddon and the boiler guy down there, and they're going to be able to manage that until we get to the end of and it's not unsafe, nothing.
We still wanna fix this long-term, but
Yeah. All that stuff is something that we're gonna do in the summer. It has nothing to do with reopening the school. But we would need you to come to spring fall town meeting to vote yes for
April 30th.
Okay.
it. If you want a new generator and not have a problem next year up at the page. Any questions? So it's sooner than later. So when we get this thing tomorrow, I mean, best case scenario, and don't hold me to it. But because it is what it is, but they want to hear.
he's saying this, not us.
Yeah, I'm saying this. Best case scenario, we get this abatement plan by tomorrow, right? And they work it out, and it drives me insane that these guys can't be there working on Wednesday. Trust me, so please don't tell me. I've lost sleep over this. So they have to have the plan in place before they have to get the people. I said, why can't they just get the people? And then when the plan's there, they just follow the plan. I guess it doesn't work that way. So I've tried. So when this thing comes in tomorrow, then they're going to get the people that are going to do it, and then it's going to take 2 weeks. So hypothetically, they won't get the people, and they'll start next Monday. It'll take 2 weeks, and there you are. That's best case scenario. Just so in your head you walk away with something. Because by that time, everything else will be done. Because we were going to have to, we thought it was going to happen earlier, and we thought we were going to have to ask the district to open up without that boys' bathroom. But it's taken so long with this asbestos that now that boys' bathroom, the whole epicenter of the whole destruction, is going to be fixed. So we're not going to have to.
So the abatement plan, I've heard maybe some mixed information, maybe my information's dated. Do we know what's being abated? You know, so I heard there's air quality, different time frame, they do different testing.
No.
Do they know
There's
the
no,
scope
there's
of
no air quality.
Okay.
What they're abating is actually the new office area.
Okay.
Do you know the new office?
Yep.
Okay. The new office, the new tiles that were put down on the renovation were compromised due to the flood.
Right.
The flood came all the way down there. Okay. When the people that in the adjuster and the insurance company said, let's take those tiles off. When they were taking those tiles off, they took the old tiles out underneath. Okay. And they potentially had on the stickum, the stuff that sticks this to the floor, have some asbestos. So that area in there, then you have, you're new to town, but if you go in the office, it used to be the cafeteria, that used to be the cafeteria, that office. And then that room that you would go through that used to have a stove and stuff in it in the back, it used to be 2 rooms, now it's going to be actually 1. There's a small spot in there, and then that entrance door that...
There used to be a wall.
Yeah, there used to be a wall. Yeah, and I think they used to use it for special ed, actually. There used to be a lot of balls in there. It used to be, and they used to use it for an afternoon program, too, I think, years and years and years ago. So, and then there's a spot in that entranceway, the old entranceway that goes up like that, the door that goes around to the left, you go in.
It looks like a little tunnel.
It looks like a, yeah, they call it the Bat Cave. That's what everybody calls it up there, the Bat Cave. Yeah, you come in there. Yeah, no. I'm just telling you what it is. You come in there. You come underneath the stairs. There's a door. There's a little bell you push right there. You open up the door. There's a 10, not even 10, 8 by 8 foot section of all tile, and that right there is all going to be done.
So there was just a lot of different
Yep.
No,
we've had 6 air quality tests up there. Everything's come down fine. And then the abatement plan, the abatement plan's going to be the plan. You have to section that off. You have to have negative air so no air comes out.
All that extra stuff like this in there. It's like when you go to the drugstore and get a prescription for your kid, the side effects. If you read all those, you wouldn't take it. You wouldn't do it. That's kind of stuff they just throw in there like boilerplate on everything.
And if you hear,
you could test for the rest of your life.
Right. I was just questioning, like, do they know the scope of that?
and the only other thing that you might hear about, okay, that's not a major issue, is after we've gotten all these professionals in there, the director of the state health thing, this guy went in there and went through all the classrooms with, I was there with them, our Board of Health was in there, something that you might hear, that our Board of Health, our building inspector, and our fire department, Mike Dwyer, our chief, we sent the district a letter saying that we do have some concerns about rugs, bean bags, and just stuff that's not like commercially graded and fire graded stuff. And cleanable, right? For the air quality and stuff, that if you go into some of these classrooms, they have all these rugs that don't get cleaned, and then you have all 10 bean bags that are whatever. So we said we'll work with the district on those, and we just give them some recommendations and some state stuff to what they need to do to those for kids, you know, that it might have some sensitive air. But all the quality air tests came back great.
We all want to put this to bed as soon as we can, but no. We're doing all we can do as fast as we can. I know a lot of people don't think it's fast enough. It's just how I'm frustrated myself. I'd like things to be going a lot faster.
And the best,
we're doing all we can do.
And then you hear, well, just so you know, with that storm and all the roofs came down to the schools, the people, now this construction companies and these people that you're dealing with now have like another 40 schools they have to deal with. Yeah, so you know, so you're dealing with, you know, the same group of construction people that now are dealing with another 20 things. There's somebody in the back.
Which plan are we abating to? Wasn't there like 3 plans? There was like our testing, then the insurance company's testing, and then
the school's testing.
The insurance company come back in and did more tests of their own. They're going by their results. They're doing up the plan. They're bringing their people. We're just dealing with one. We're not combining 5 different things.
So I think your question that you might be thinking about is this going to be good enough? Because we've talked about, yes, it will be. The district is satisfied with this now.
And we're going to do, after the abatement is done, we're going to re-air test.
But yeah, you have to do that. But I think your question, I think, is not about that. Your question is, you heard 3 things going on, and nobody could be on the right page. You want to just make sure that the stuff that we're doing is on the same page with the district, so we're not just going down one parallel, and then when we get there, they're going to say, no, it's not good enough, we have our own stuff. No, we're all on the same page now.
Basically, the school did a test, they picked a random piece out of a rubbish valve and a test. And that came back minor positive. So when the other companies knew that, they looked for stuff. It's like that room was sort of abated, but there might be a little residual patch. It's like
Abated in the past.
You could check here, and there. All of them would be negative in one little spot.
And it would never have been a problem if we didn't take those tiles up.
If we could do that all over again,
we would have said just keep them.
Hi. I'm Ashley Davis. My question is more about assuming the 3 weeks go by and everything's abated, everything's good, are kids actually going to go back at that point? Or would there be some sort of academic delay where it's better for them to move over to vacation because that's been circulating through the school?
Well, that's something you would have to talk to the district about. We're going to try to get it as open up as possible and have them in as fast as possible. That's why I asked if we start doing things now rather than waiting.
So I think Dr. McQueen left, but maybe our school committee, maybe that could be brought up because
You need to talk into the mic, please.
it's been voiced by the principal to me and a few other parents that it might be better to move their kids over April vacation where it's least disruptive to them.
To whom?
To the kids.
I doubt that. The fastest those kids get back into that school would be the least
Glenn,
disruptive to me.
I don't think that's our judge, our call.
Well, it's not our call,
if we're
but...
ready before then that's you guys' decision to make, not ours. If it's ready, you can move.
Oh, no, hold on. Okay, we have no control over that. Okay, so I just want you to understand that. But we would hope, okay, that if the school's ready, and it sits there ready for 2 weeks, right, before April vacation, I would have a major problem with that. And I think every single family and child would. I don't believe personally, and I'm not a trained professional in any way, that I think our kids and our parents and families will be least disruptive if we get back into that school as fast as possible. So
I agree, and
we'll put some pressure. Yeah.
Pressure, and if our school committee members could pressure the powers that be.
One thing, while you're here, and this is nothing. Well, you can sit down, but because I don't want to think this is about you, but it's not. But I wanted to make sure this was an understanding, because this is what I've heard. That if anybody's having issues with their not getting the services that they were supposed to get with special ed or anything like that, it has to be voiced, because what I'm hearing that it's not being voiced. And if we need to bring more people in, if we have to, what I talked about earlier with Dr. Mulqueen about the cleaning of the building and getting extra people in here because insurance will pay for it. If we need more services in the district while our kids are there, insurance will pay for us to have more people there. So if people aren't getting what their kids need, please make it known.
So I have a child on my EP, and as far as I know, she's getting her services. When I ask, her service providers say she is getting them. My child's young, and she's not reliable to ask her. When I ask her, she says no. So, is she getting them? Is she not getting them? I really don't know if she is.
I don't know how to address that other than sitting in with your kid or going down there. I don't know, but I would. I don't know. I know it's frustrated.
I mean, ideally, it would be nice to be back at Page before MCAS and not.
I don't even know when that is. I don't have any kids in the district anymore. All my 3 are gone.
So that's all. It was just a rumor.
You want to comment on a rumor, Andy? You can. And if you want to start a new one, you can do that too.
So, I'm Andy Murphy, Chairman of the School Committee. Regarding reoccupancy, we have not talked about that in our meetings. I'd say it's a chicken and the egg thing, that once there's a known date when the building will be deemed safe, then we can start planning for reoccupancy, although it was good to hear tonight that there could possibly be some preliminary work to expedite that. I just want to caution people against rumors and conjecture about who's going to do what, because I think that's been counterproductive in this whole process. So let's play the process out, let's get the school ready, then we get the kids back in. Let's deal with facts rather than conjecture. Next.
I mean,
It's coming from the principal.
okay, so you might want to, I was just going to say that. If it's coming from him, you call the superintendent's office. So is this true? Dustin is telling everybody that it would be better off for the kids to go on April vacation. Is that true? And then I would ask another question about, MCAS has to be, they're all through the whole state at the same time, right? You can't delay those? I would then ask if we can get some type of deferment if we have to have them by the state because we're not in the right thing, to be able to do the MCAS when we're back in our building and not have to do them all everywhere.
And the last meeting, I mentioned that I wasn't terribly comfortable trying to speak for people who aren't here, trying to project what they're thinking. This would qualify as that situation. So, like Glenn said, I would go up to him and say, is that really true? And if it is true, it's the first I've heard of it, so please let me know and we'll go address it. But he's not here, and I have not heard of it.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Let's go. Just a quick one. This will be quick, I promise.
It wouldn't be one of these meetings. It wouldn't be one of these meetings without Mitch.
Mitch Selkovitz. So the only thing, and I know you guys probably can't answer this because there's something else going on behind the scenes. I just feel it's a gut feeling. Because 2 weeks ago we were here. I was actually here 3 weeks ago. And this isn't really to you, because I know you're managing, you're dealing with a bunch of different parties. You're dealing with the insurance adjuster. You're talking about the district, right? So I just need to have this clarified for my own.
Yep, give it to us.
Here. So is the only reason right now this abatement we keep talking about is strictly coming from the district?
No.
Because hold on a second. You cannot say that you have air samples that everything's good. It's like saying what's that analogy? asbestos is positive or it's negative. If it's positive, you get it abated, you encapsulate it, you remove it, whatever you have to do. You run an air sample and you clarify, and then it's cleared, it's
Yeah,
done.
the air samples were good, but it still didn't mean the
Right, so you're not-
substance samples were positive, otherwise we wouldn't be doing
Okay,
it.
so the nature of the work that's left is to encapsulate, I don't know how much square footage we're talking about. Initially, I thought it was like a 4x8 piece of plywood.
No, it's not.
That's what initially was.
Yeah,
All right, so.
it's not that much bigger than that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's a very small area, correct?
Yeah.
Exactly. So.
It's 3 different areas, but cumulative,
Okay.
it's big as this table.
I'm trying to understand why you guys are so reluctant to give us, and I understand you don't wanna give us a hard date, because once you give a hard date, then everyone's gonna pinpoint you to it. But.
I just gave you a pretty good one.
No, but the same token, on the other side of your breath, you're saying, well, in 2 weeks, so you already know that you're 2 weeks out, and how do we know we're 2 weeks out?
Well, no, listen, what I just said to you, see, I told you not to hold me to this, but I know you want to do. The abatement guy is going to come back with the thing tomorrow, and the guy was there last Thursday, okay?
Last Tuesday, no offense, but
What?
last Tuesday was a big
Yes,
day,
and.
remember?
I know, but the guy, and the guy didn't show.
The meeting had to be canceled until.
You remember, I told you, they didn't show, they came on Thursday. So they looked at it,
Yep.
and then they, through federal law and all that stuff, when you're dealing with asbestos, have to write up a plan. And then I said to Gary last Thursday at 11 o'clock, when they were all walking away, well, let's get the abatement people in on Wednesday. And so then they can just follow this plan. That plan is going to be the plan. Let's get them in on Wednesday, and they can start on Wednesday. He said, Glenn, it doesn't work that way. They have to get the plan. Then the plan has to be approved by the insurance company. Then after the insurance company gets the plan, they have to give it to a company to abate it. And then the guy knows the scope of work. Like you can go into a building and say, this is going to take me 2 weeks. And it takes you 2 weeks. So we already know that the abatement and all that's going to happen within 2 weeks. And so I just said, give it a little leeway, saying, okay, we get the plan tomorrow, they get somebody, and they'll start on Monday. And that's 2 weeks. You know what I mean? And by that time, everything else is going to be done.
Yeah, they could start Thursday, or they might not come in until next Wednesday, whatever it takes.
I mean, we don't, if we...
You can't push on, you can't lean on, you guys are doing that?
Okay, Mitch, I have people that won't talk to me anymore. Can you imagine that? A nice guy like me. They won't talk to me anymore because you don't... How many times? I've been up there every day last week. I leave work early. I don't know what else to do. It's driving me absolutely insane. What I think I'm going to do is get into the construction business and abatement business and do it better. I'm pushing.
He tells me at 3 o'clock Tuesday, he's going to be reporting at 3, I'm calling, I want to know where it is.
No, Gary, yeah. You think... I told Gary, I said, hey, I'm going on vacation March 9th until the 18th. And he went, so I'm not going to get a phone call about paid school 7 times a day. Good. I said, no, my phone works in Canada. Because that's how much we're on this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Is there gonna have to be a follow-up meeting where everyone's gonna, last time we were here on Saturday, you said everyone's gonna have to get together and you're gonna deliver it to this.
I think we've already delivered that.
You've already done that.
I think we got our point across. I think we got everybody on the same page, not having to do that. Yeah, you're right. So that meeting, yeah, exactly. We've got everybody on the same page.
As soon as that plan's done, they're up here working, we'll let everybody know what's going on. Keep it on post, right?
Who will deliver the big announcement when we get to go back in?
I'm gonna have we'll have cupcakes, and we're gonna have a big ribbon cutting ceremony.
Well, actually, we're gonna tell this superintendent that it's okay to reoccupy, but then that is gonna come from them.
Yeah, that has to come from them.
That's their truth.
And that's why I was trying to get them to start doing it now. Get the first floor, get this, I mean, there's a lot up there. Obviously, they have maintenance guys, they have their janitors up there, and they're painting. So, I mean, so hopefully they're...
Families help? I mean, is that possible?
I don't know.
Or can we help in any way? Or is that like illegal?
Yeah, I don't think they want you to. I mean,
And he also stated, he was asked if there was any other concerns, and he said, no, just wanted to say, hopefully there's no more concerns. Right? He answered that, he said no.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Well, this is the most scrutinized building. I mean, it's an old building, first of all, but it's a safe building.
It is.
Remember, we just put $10 million into this building, and the town, you had three choices, everybody. Not to do anything, spend $10 million, or build a new school. And everybody chose $10 million. We had land for a brand new elementary school. We could have sold that for condos and all that. And we have other gorgeous land we've had for 20 years for a new elementary school, but the town chose to keep that school. And and we're just trying to do the best we possibly can to manage an old building. That's all we can do.
It's unfortunate when you do have a disaster type problem with the school where it's so old, it's compounded because it's old and there's other issues that are underlying that you wouldn't have in a new building. You know what I mean? If a brand new school and they had the break and the tile get wet, you take them up, put new ones, it wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, we wouldn't have the asbestos underneath. I mean, this is ridiculous about the, I mean, it's...
Just we're lucky it wasn't on the fourth floor. We'd never be back.
Thanks, guys. No, not anymore. It's too late. I just don't want things going out to him without approval. That's it. That's it. Because you, yeah, because you know, like we said earlier. No, but a comprehensive evaluation was not performed. You know, we sent this. We go, oh my God, this is awesome news. Let's send it to the district. We send that thing, and you saw that, because it's not the truth. No, the whole thing.
So what do we want to do sequentially? Do we want the finance committee, or do we want to move down the agenda?
Okay, we've done,
They wanted to come
Andy,
down.
Andy, were you upstairs? Are they kind of done, or
Yeah,
what?
they're planning on coming in for a long time. I think they're waiting on you.
Oh, okay.
Go get them?
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, can you talk?
Can I talk? I'm talking. 10-9-8-7-6-5.
Fine.
Say what?
Perfect.
So is the FinCom coming to the next meeting as well?
Yes. Oh, what, next meeting?
The 26th, I guess. Is with the moderator.
Yes, the 20, the next, is that the next meeting?
No, we have the 19th.
Yeah.
That's capital improvements.
Yeah, they're coming to the 26th. That's the joint meeting.
And then the 26th is the joint meeting.
That's correct. Yeah, no, we said this last meeting. Yeah, right.
Hold on, Bill. I know.
They had requested, at the time, 4 weeks ago, they had questions about articles in the budget that they wanted to discuss. They were concerned about spending on some line items. I think it was mostly DPW. No. No, it is on the agenda. It's budget.
Okay, one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm ready. I guess we're in recess.
Glenn just decided to leave.
We could, actually, let's do a couple of quick things.
I know, but
No, like appoint Art Wallace reopening permit.
I know, but Glenn's not here.
I was just trying to do that.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do the budget next.
He purposely doesn't talk loud so we get the microphone.
See, look how far down it is.
Where do you want me to put it?
Up there.
I've never had to do that.
You can hear us, right?
Can you hear me? Not really.
Well, look, I have mine up here, that's why. Yeah. Yeah, on the other side.
Okay, how is this?
How's that?
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, see?
How is this? Is it?
Okay.
I'm using this.
All right.
He was gonna do that no matter what. So,
Let's bang out the.
Let's go.
Street opening permit here.
make a motion to approve the street opening permit.
Is it 4 or 9?
I have 4 on here. What does it say on the application?
9 was a lot. Okay.
4.
4 Dole Place.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
With the
stipulations on the application.
Put in here, okay.
He seconded it?
All in
Yep.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. I want to do other.
Move to appoint Chip Wallace to the Energy Advisory Committee for a term ending June 30th, 2018.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's do the budget. Can we start with questions or
Why
concerns
don't we do that in the next
that
time?
you guys have?
She didn't, I'll tell you.
You want to do the budget first and then article discussion? Okay.
Okay.
Oh.
Question we have about the budget, was it, I don't know that I saw stabilization, an appropriation for stabilization. I was wondering what your guys' thoughts were about, again, are we putting money into stabilization here again, to try to match that stabilization people, or how are we gonna do it?
I would like to.
You would like to, or are we going to? I think we should. We have a CIC plan, so according to our capital improvements plan, how much is our stabilization number need to be this year? Did he give us a new budget today?
Yeah.
Now, that being said,
Who has it? Andy, do you have any more of the new ones that you printed, the new budgets that you gave Andy?
here.
You gave Archie?
Here, you can have mine. You can have mine.
I didn't get one. Did I? Where?
Electronic.
Mine was in my packet.
Oh, then I have it. No, he printed one out today at 3 o'clock, a new one at 3 o'clock.
I didn't pay attention.
I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the one that.
I'll run this to the car.
Yeah, I'm talking about the new one. I'm not talking about the one that.
I have one.
Okay, to answer your question, so, you know, I think ultimately the number is going to be somewhere around $300,000. So if we add $300,000, obviously we're not going to create an override to fund $300,000 that we don't have to have.
No, but we have some excess levy capacity there that we won't need to have an override. Don't we?
To have an override?
No, that we don't need an override for $300,000. Don't we have some debt coming off?
Yes, but then we would also, we would have a tax increase of 4 or 5%, which I would not be in favor of.
How much debt's coming off?
We already allocated that to the school stabilization, all of it.
Okay, but we can do.
300,000 is.
That'd be a major hit.
300,000.
Well, we haven't taken any major votes. These are all suggestions on this. We haven't
So
voted.
do you have a suggestion?
Yeah, we
Let me
haven't
turn
voted.
that
We
back to
haven't
you.
voted on what we're going to do with the recurring debt yet.
How would we do that? And I think our objective, we had talked about this earlier, our objective is to keep property tax increases at 2% or less. So it all translates into, I know there's a budget percent increase, but then
Thanks, bud.
how it equates to property tax increases.
And so that's kind of the tough thing that, you know, we were looking at. I think as it is, if you look at the budget now, has the tax rate going up, like 0.02, so that's more than it has in the previous years. So went up by 0.01 last year, it actually decreased the year before that. But so if we leave everything as is, which is not funding stabilization, we're already increasing. And again, the reasons for that are pretty clear, you know, we've made change with the town manager, which is a good thing.
So what's the suggestion from the FinCom on stabilization?
So, one, we think it's very, very important, because especially stabilization, it's like, these are things like you can't really avoid, right? So it's like, when you have to replace something in the building, like, you can't just pretend like you don't have to replace it.
Right.
So we think it's important that it's incorporated every year at the onset. The tough thing is, because of that, because we're already kind of pushing the budget anyways, like, probably if we wanna fund stabilization, we have to make some tough decisions in some other areas of the budget. So I'm not speaking necessarily for the finance committee, but just some general things that came up. If you look at the budget this year, there is one area of town government that has increased substantially this year, substantially the year before, but if we're serious about stabilization, then we probably have to look at making some tough decisions.
Okay, so what are they?
We have primarily public police, right, so a big expansion in that department.
Public safety, you mean?
Public safety as well, but primarily the police side.
So.
And again, I'm not saying.
So give us, can you give us, no, I understand, no, I understand.
Have you had the chief in, and what did he say?
It's something that you would like to have a discussion about.
You got it.
So give us a line item, please, a number.
15.
Thank you.
So did he?
So a couple of salient points about the police budget for this year. So obviously, the biggest addition is.
What budget are you working off of? Are you working off the same one that I have, 3.5?
3.518.
Yeah, you're not working on that one.
We have all of them, just tell me which one you want.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I don't think it's changed appreciably, although I do believe there's the changes in the police contracts with the salary and wages in 2019 for a change in the 3.5 version.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing there is that we put the police cruisers into raise and appropriate, which they don't have a history of being there recently.
So it's tough, right? So even if you took those cruisers out and said, okay, let's pretend like we're doing it the old way and we made articles for them, right? So you took it out of the budget entirely.
Well, that's not the old way. That's the old new way. We always had them in the line item, and we took them out. We took them out in tough times. They were always in here, and then we took them out.
We're talking 10 years ago.
Yeah. But I just want to make sure he understands. Maybe
you'd say, okay, we have to buy 2 new cars this year, so that's artificially inflating the police department's budget.
Yep.
Even if you remove both cruisers from the budget, they still have a 7.3% increase. And that's assuming that all the contract changes that just happened have translated here.
Have you gone through?
They are in there.
Have you gone through with him on his budget? So I see a pretty big increase in.
I think he's going to get to that.
Yeah, we'll get.
I'm sorry.
We'll get to that shortly. So certainly, if you look at say, okay, maybe this is a tough year for crime, so there's some reasons for these changes. But this has actually gone on a couple of years in a row now, right? So we've got some big year-to-year increases in the police department.
Because we've added personnel.
Right.
I mean, that's where it's coming from too.
Yeah,
And again, but my point is, if you're looking at a target 2.5% budget, if every year we have departments that are at 7, 10, 11%, like we're never going to get 2.5%. So that's just a fact. And I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong, but all I'm saying is that at some point we're either going to have taxes that are increasing each year to cover the shortfall, and move up 2.5%. We make some difficult decisions. So I don't feel I have the longevity to look at a department like the police and say what's fair for their budget or what's appropriate. But what I can say is absolutely, it's like, again, we do have capital items that do need replacement as well as they do have to be done. So I wanted to get your guys' take, because obviously you have a longer view of this town as to are public safety needs being met at their current levels? Are we still 70% sufficient? But I think, even if at some point we have to get close to 2.5%.
Well, I mean, I can see 2 line items that are not related strictly to
expenses,
personnel. That we've got a $13,000 increase in expenses, which is kind of, we'd like to dig deeper into the weeds on that one, and also overtime, which since I've been on the FinCom a long time, and since I've been on Selectmen, it's been my bugaboo, and we've heard from not even this police chief, but previous ones, that if we have more full-time personnel, then there won't be such an issue with overtime. We heard that. I have it in writing, and now we have essentially 2.5 more people than we had, 4 years ago?
Yep.
And there's a request for, $12,000 more in overtime. I can't handle that.
Yeah, I agree. I had those two things circled too. So I presume you guys asked him about those two items.
We did.
And the response was?
To be fair, I don't know that we got a clear answer as to why. As far as like.
Which one? Which one are you talking about?
The overtime. So what I'd asked was for clarification, and she agreed to come back and speak with us. But it was just a better explanation for how full-time staff translates to overtime figures and things like that. But
Okay,
as
what about
far
the
as I understand it,
expense one?
His explanation was, regardless of full-time staffing, if anything, overtime may only increase. But again, I didn't.
That's not what we had heard.
But again,
We wouldn't have
that's
put
how
on
I
more police officers.
took it to understand it, but again, it didn't make sense to me, so again, we asked them to come back and have a little more time.
Well, I'll tell you why. Okay. I'll tell you why. I'm not gonna, potentially what it could be. We're adding more staff, and I think we're creating more shifts. So when you're adding more staff and then creating more shifts, then you have the potential. You have more staff and more shifts. So when somebody calls in sick, somebody goes on vacation, then you're
when you're saying creating more shifts, are you saying more officers on a shift?
Yes. Yeah,
There
exactly. Mike knows that too. Yeah.
There should not.
Yeah, like overnights he wanted 2.
Well, I thought we had an agreement with that.
Well, I'm giving you a reason why there's a correlation between more officers and more overtime that he could probably defend. I'm just giving you that reason because we're not taking officers and plugging them in to what we were using the overtime for and then reducing our overtime. We're making new positions, and then of course when those people are sick and go on vacation, they're going to have to be replaced for somebody, and we don't have that many reserves anymore, so they're going to be replaced by full-time officers at an overtime rate.
They're going to be replaced at a higher rate.
Okay.
Correct.
Andy, can you send the selectmen and the finance committee the police department breakdown of his request? So
And again, it's not my point. It's not my question to grasp this information. I'm only trying to understand it myself.
No, you're doing. You keep on saying no. You're doing. It's great.
Probably my own general bias, right?
We had the same question.
Okay. What about the expenses?
So it's just like anything. Like the best way I can summarize his sentiments were based on his assessment. He just feels like the state of the department, as he saw it, as he started, isn't where it needs to be commensurate with current standards of how they run departments. So that's as far as I understand it. So I think these are just his way of trying to like get things to where he feels is like an appropriate level.
Making up for lost time, so to speak.
But again, there's some things that like you look at it and then no brainer. So, you know, is it smart for West Newbury to own their own firearms instead of like each user officer? Probably that's a smart thing, a smart change to implement.
Why?
Well, I guess I could foresee, so if an officer, if they're using their personal property.
It's gone on for 35 years, so I want to know why it's important to change now. And we've never had an issue.
I guess it just, using my horse sense, it seems to me like if you're a police officer, like a gun would be like your uniform. So it'd be strange for like to take your uniform, but probably you may need a firearm for your job, and that would seem like that wouldn't seem excessive to me. You know, said, oh, should the town, is that part of their uniform? Like, and maybe you could argue about it, but I don't think it's unreasonable.
But we give them a uniform allowance in their contract, and they can they're not buying brand new uniforms every year. They can use that money for a gun.
Regardless, so I mean, again.
You know what I mean? I mean, I'm being the devil's advocate.
Right, but I mean, so that's like a drop in the bucket, right? So you're looking at, you're looking at $8,000 for some new firearms. So they may last 10, 20 years. I mean, you'll spend that in insurance on a new officer in like 4 months. You know, so I think like these, like I don't want to quibble over like these small little things, but probably if we're going to be serious about controlling the budget, we got to look at the things that are driving the cost. And it's just tough because that's not an easy decision, right? Because that means.
No, those are good questions.
No, it means you're going to get pulled over a lot more.
But if you say to us like, okay, it's like we want to put money aside for the new school, and we want to be responsible and put away for stabilization. Well, there's only really a couple places in the budget where you can make up the difference. If you have a department that's 7% over, 11%.
Well, we need to start. Yeah,
we're good. We're good.
Because we have to have it.
one common sense way we can start curtailing that perhaps, like I said, if you look at their replacement schedule for police vehicles, I wonder if we should consider trying to limit it to one new car a year.
Well, I think the exception this year, it is one new car a year. There's 4 cruisers. It's the chief's vehicle. Every 8 years gets replaced, so that's why this is 2.
Yeah, but why, I mean, no. I don't know why he needs a new car this year. That car, he doesn't take the thing home, it sits there all the time. I don't know why there needs to be a new police car,
Yeah,
since we got that one for,
we have that.
we got one, we got that one for free.
So, I mean, that's not accurate. So if you look at the replacement schedule for vehicles, it's 2 new vehicles every 3 years and 2 new vehicles every 4 years.
No, we didn't agree, we agreed to 1 new vehicle every year, replace the 4 frontline cruisers once a year, every 4 years. And the chief's vehicle, I don't remember, it's like 8 to 10 years or something like that.
I'm just saying that's not what was requested, and that's not what they're recommending. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, I'm just saying that's not the materials we received.
Can we double check that?
Like I said, it's right
He's
there.
got it, he's got it.
Right. So, I don't know
Okay, it's
how
not
much more you want to double check that.
my understanding.
But
So why don't we do this? I mean, could we feel comfortable to say that, see, I want to have a,
Can we clarify that with him when we talk to him?
I think it's something just to consider. Like I said, you say, where can we save money? I think if we could, can we get by as a town with 1 new vehicle every year for the police department? And that's, again, I can't answer that question.
That's the plan. That's the plan. That's what we agreed to.
I know it's very hard for you to understand that's the plan that we agreed to, and then you have 2 there. It's because it's the chief's vehicle. And that came out.
Again, I'm on both the finance and capital improvement. Same thing, capital improvement. There's multiple years with 2 cars, like I said, every 3 and every 4 years.
We didn't agree to that.
Well, like I said, well, anyways, that's.
Okay, so that, no, okay, so it is what it is. It's a good discussion, and I think we're in agreement of 1 car a year. So whatever it says, we need to redo that. I think we're in agreement with you guys.
But regardless of coming full circle, I think stabilization should be a priority, and I would give strong consideration to.
We agree. We agree.
So can we have a broader, okay, have you?
Let's, like, we've been on the police for a while, like, we're gonna get through the whole budget.
I wanted to talk about, okay, do you have any more questions of us? The police was one.
Yeah, so we got through police, we talked about stabilization.
Okay, but hold on, okay, hold on for 1 second. If these discussions are gonna be so what do you want to do? Give them some direction. I think that's what they're here for tonight, so they can mold a budget. So would we like to say, can we say to the chief, let's hold off on his personal car, or he gets to pick 1? That we'd only like to have 1 car a year. Should we give them some direction in that respect and ask them to bring overtime down, unless he comes to us?
I think we need to talk. I think we need to talk to the chief. Either we or they need to talk to the chief.
They have already talked to the chief.
Well, then we need to talk to him.
But again, I think it's something that requires someone with a very long view of this town.
We'll talk.
I think it would be more appropriate for you guys.
We'll talk to him. Okay, let's put that on the next agenda.
Okay. But
Because I want something to come out of these discussions with them,
What's
not
gonna come
just
out
like,
is we've asked-
because our next meeting's the 19th, and then after that,
So
we're done.
What's coming out of it is we've asked Chief Reed to come in on the 19th. That's what's coming out of it.
When is he coming back to you?
We're seeing him on the 12th. That's the next week. But the same thing, just to go over again, just the overtime and things of that nature. But
So-
it's hard, because like, how am I to, it's like, who am I to say
What else do you have on the budget? Other departments?
So the other issue we had was, so the DPW, snow and ice removal.
Okay.
So again, I understand the procedural reasons why we leave it $150,000 a year. But again, it just doesn't seem like sound financial practice, because it's like, why would you purposely build something in the budget that you're gonna run deficit on? Because it creates, again, more administrative work.
I think is there some kind of rule that you cannot lower that number? Is that correct, Andy?
Lower it, that you cannot run a legal deficit.
Yes, and so what happens is you have an anomaly year where you don't get snow and we don't spend 150,000, and that's happened.
I feel like that's this year, and still burned through it already.
Well, there have been years that we haven't.
You have to remember that.
Once in a while, it
You have to remember that it's not
that's the
snow
reason.
too, it's ice also.
But like, I'm not questioning the spending. What I'm saying is.
I understand what you're saying.
It's just because it's a situation where even if you can do it and you're allowed to run a deficit, that still isn't enough to plan, you still have to spend the money anyway, so why not just, again, do a rolling average so you actually know what you're spending?
And putting that into the budget, and rather than,
Budget it appropriately, I don't know, cause it just creates more work, and it's like, that shouldn't be a way of, like, that's an old school way of thinking, right? It's like, that's just like trying to be reactionary. It's like, oh, we'll run a deficit and we'll worry about it later. Well, worry about it every year, you know it's coming, you live in New England, it's gonna snow.
which will
We would probably be the only town in Massachusetts that did that, though. I would say probably everybody deficit.
And how do we pay?
The only one that fully funds OPED, and we get praised for that.
Yeah. So, and how do we pay for the deficit out of free cash?
Right.
So we're not. But my point being is that it would be better to have a rolling average, because it's going to be always, your rolling average over the last 3 years would be higher than $150,000, and then you would have a better understanding of how much it really is costing to run the town in a budgetary sense rather than a reactionary in spending free cash. That I would agree with.
And even record keeping, like even as a member of the finance committee, it's like, I have a hard time tracking down what we actually spend on snow and ice removal, because you have to look up 3 different articles every year and compare them all to see, where the spending is going. It just makes everything, it makes the accountability difficult. It's not like, oh, we magically don't have to pay for it now, you're still paying for it.
So what would you like to do, gentlemen? Give them some direction. Ask them to put a rolling average of the last 3 years in the budget. It's going to increase.
Again, maybe this year's not a good year for it, but
No. It's never a good year for it. But I think it's always a good year to do it right. And I think understanding it better would be better. It gives you a better understanding of the town. I mean,
because like I said, what do we gain by this way? It's like we have to call this year snow and ice emergency.
you know what you gain? You gain not raising taxes. And so we can say to people, we haven't raised your taxes this much, and we're using it out of free cash, money that we have, that we raised their taxes on before, maybe 2 years ago, but we're using it for this year. So I think it's more important to tell the people exactly what it's all about.
Right, but that,
This is the old argument.
we've already got that money, so you want to raise your taxes more, even though we already have the free cash.
No, I say take.
That's what you just said.
The free cash down.
Let's give it back to them on a tax thing. I know it's different ways of doing it, I understand that, but we really don't know. We're spending, like when somebody says, hey, we're going to take this much money on debt and buy some property, then when it comes off and people say, oh, it's only going to be on our tax rate for 25 years or 30 years. Now, we're not letting that come off our tax rate. We're using that on other things now. We're using that to stabilize, so it's never come back off. What we told the people that it was going to do when we got that debt, we're keeping it on so we can use that to fund a stabilization account for the school. I just don't, fundamentally, I don't think that's the way I would want to do it. And fundamentally, I would like to see it's just the right way of doing it. I don't know, to me it is, But it all comes out of the taxpayers' money, I understand that.
Yeah, what are our priorities though? We have stabilization for big ones. That's the only thing that we have issues with. Again, we want to find snow and ice appropriately.
So, but why can't you put stabilization in there and see what the budget looks like? And then we can start whittling it down.
Right.
Okay. And make some real.
Again, that would be our recommendation.
It makes them real.
So
Remember, it's your.
$300,000 plan. So we haven't done it for the last 2 years.
Remember, it's your budget.
Okay. What else?
So those are the big issues. So community center committees are now going like smaller, like much.
Go into it. Anything.
So and again, I'm speaking for myself, not necessarily the committee. But so this committee, somehow they were put into the budget last year, and really feel like the funding source of this technical committee should be through articles. So I did remove them from the budget this year. But they've been getting a $6,000 a year appropriation.
Did you hear what he just said?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. No comments.
About what?
Removing the community center from the budget.
But
So again, we're talking about like tough decisions, right? So
No, but it's not tough decisions. It's a community center thing that just became a committee out of the blue, and then got a line item because there was enough people supporting it at town meeting and a bunch of selectmen that were asleep and let them go on the thing. And that is not. I don't think that is a committee that just starts up that's going to maybe not even be here in 2 years, all of a sudden has a line item on our budget. I think that is a good thing for an article.
Okay, the reason I was asking is because you were concerned about it 2 weeks ago when they came in, that they didn't have enough money to fund their engineering.
No, I wasn't concerned about that. I was just trying to help her explain that. I didn't want.
I misunderstood you.
No, I didn't want her not to ask for the money, right? And I thought it was an article more than a line item.
There's an article.
Yeah, we were talking about an article.
There's both.
Yeah, we were talking about an article, and that I didn't want it not to ask for the article because of the septic system. So I thought the article was about evaluating the septic system, evaluating the building, and so forth and so on. That's what I was trying to get to. Not that I didn't want to do it.
But
No.
again, so my own personal opinion, so they've been appropriated $12,000 in the town with the article that they have outstanding, that'll be $18,000.
They've got too much outstanding money.
So
Totally agree.
They're spending it. But
They haven't spent unless they recently did.
they spent the $6,000 from the line item, and they spent a little bit of the article too.
Okay.
So the
So, but-
proposed budget for $10,000 for this year. But the issue.
What are they spending money on?
So we'll get to that. But so 18,000, or $12,000 so far. You know, they want 6,000 more. You know, but you look at it, they have over $6,000 in administrative costs. This is like an exploratory committee.
Well, I was on that. Whoa. I was on that. Hold on for 1 second. I was on that committee, and I thought it was a voluntary committee. There are town employees that are on that committee that are getting paid.
Right. But it's like that's more administrative costs.
So.
So again, you're looking at, well, we want to get all the stuff in, but we don't want to cut the budget. So my thing is like, it's like if you want to look at a committee, we'll just get some people together and start playing chess. You know, have pizza night. Like, but you think how much good you could do for some old people.
I like pizza.
$18,000. Like, think of all the great things you could do.
No, I think I think you're overselling it to me. I don't know about these two, but I would agree with you. This is what happens, and we create a monster. That now, as a committee, now that's part of our functionally day-to-day operation of our town, which it shouldn't. That should have been a one-time article with a sunset clause, with some type of scope. They fill that scope and that article, and then they make a report after that article is done, and if they need more money, they have to justify it, rather than having a line item with administrative costs and this and that and that. So I think that would be one that we would have to cut and say to them, if they need money, they have to go before town meeting in an article and get it.
And so that's the current status of this committee. I did want to check in with you guys to see how you felt about that. And like I said, I'm just the chairman, so I'm saying my opinion. There are a variety of other contrary opinions in FinCom, so it's like anything, you know. Some people want to appropriate more, want to appropriate less.
You guys,
what did they spend? You were talking about some significant amounts that they spent.
So, like I said, they've been appropriated $12,000 already.
For what time period are you talking about?
I can't even tell you because they haven't even submitted the correct paperwork. Like I just got when they came in to meet us the last time, they gave us like a preliminary budget, but I can't tell you what they spent it on. What I can tell you is I think they have like $4,000 left from their articles.
well, it's very easy to find. It's very easy to find out what they spent it on because.
This is the committee. They're spending a lot of money. I haven't seen a lot. So interestingly, in their report to you guys, they mentioned that they had a professional consultant figure out what the need was for the town. When I tried to follow up and get information on who this professional consultant was, I was getting very vague information.
So have you seen them? Have they come in and talked to you?
Yes, they came in a previous meeting.
Who did?
That would be
CCC.
I know, but I want to know who came in.
The person, yeah,
Vanessa?
Graham.
Just her?
So do they have follow-ups? Do they have answers that they owe you back?
So I asked for the name of the professional consultant so I could just follow up with them and see about the report. I was given the name, but they would not give me the contact information. I was told that they will not be back until April. But if I have any questions, I can direct it to Vanessa, and she will ask the consultant.
So I think the question is going back. They have articles like going back in time that don't have sunset clauses. So going current year and backwards of things that are still open, how much is that? And what are their needs? And what are their needs? And then based on that, are there any further needs for 2018? Probably no or minimal.
Well, so that's
No, they have administrative. They have administrative.
They've requested $10,814.
They have administrative problems,
And some of it's
thing.
like they wanna
Yeah, I
bring
know.
engineers to look at this building back here, but like I said, they haven't, in my opinion, despite the money they spent, they haven't actually, they can't even come to a solid use assessment of how many people need this facility. So it's like, I just feel like, I would just like to see them build a base first. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but you have plenty of money, build your base, start getting support, get people behind it. You show us a bunch of slides of people having pizza parties, having a good time, and you're filling up the annex, you need more space. Well, great, we'll come back to us, and now we'll start moving on to like some assessments, but just to be like, we have another $12,000 for
Yeah,
for
they,
some engineering studies, and also, $7,000 for an administrator, and $800 for a laptop computer. And to me, I'm seeing the committee benefiting, but not the town.
yeah, they owe us some answers.
And so, like I said, I've tried to get those answers, and they've been very evasive, which again, in my mind, is a red flag. Not
Got it,
I
got
have
it.
personal interest in this, but
Got
just
it.
trying to just do a dispatch here.
So let's just, let's make that line item 0. Remember, this is, I don't know if you guys understood the history. We can give you recommendations, right? But this is your budget.
Right.
If we say,
Starting with the new legislation, it's actually Angus's budget.
yes, but this budget. Because we've had, when I've been here in my illustrious career, which is only going to last 3 more years if I'm lucky to get elected, is we've had some, dueling budgets, so to speak, with the FinCom. It's the FinCom's budget to present at town meeting, not the selectmen's budget.
Actual
Literally.
don't get any rules, and
No, but I'm giving you, I'm giving you the.
where there's potential to make cuts, that's all I'm trying to do.
Okay, so why don't we zero that one down and find out
Do
a
we want
real.
to ask her, or do we want to zero it down?
They have an article also.
They still have their article.
Do we need the article?
The article is about the
I'm saying-
assessment. This is about paying
Yeah, but
people to
they-
go to the
but they need
meeting.
to justify that.
Which one? This one?
Both.
Okay.
I'd say one or the other, go.
Well, what's the?
Are they coming back in to see you?
We need a number. No.
It's unclear at this time.
No, Glenn, we need to handle it.
So how do you want to handle it?
Tell them to come in.
Gary, tell them to come in.
They're coming in for
Didn't you have a hard time?
March
Didn't you have a hard time getting them in last time?
Well, then, if they don't come in, then the budget is 0.
There you go.
Do you want them to come in and get them the budget?
We need to talk to them about their,
Budget
all of
request
their
and their
current,
article
all of their current open money past articles that are still open, what their plan is for fiscal 19. Yeah,
So-
both the budget and the line item.
Are you saying that you don't have a good
Excuse me,
understanding
both
of
the
how they
budget and the
spent the
article.
money?
They didn't submit their
So
budget
what
on
you,
time,
well,
and like I
no,
said,
no,
all
no,
I
no,
have
no,
is
no, no,
some
I'm
budget
saying
from
how they
somebody.
spent their money.
Like
All
I said,
you
I
need
don't
to,
know- I don't know if this is stuff that was already spent or what they want to spend. Like, I can't tell you because I have no information. That's the
okay,
whole thing.
so what we can do is you can ask Andy, because, that line item, you know what I mean, we can find out, because that line item, yeah, very easily, because whatever their bills go to a line item, we can get the backup warrant information.
I'll do it.
Okay.
But like I said, I
We're gonna have them
strongly
come
urge
in-
you to assess the veracity of $7,000 of administrative fees for a committee with no
We'll have them come in.
exploratory committee.
Okay, what about, anything else?
So it's similar things, so looking at other places in the budget that are, again, are kind of above that 2.5% mark. So the planning department has seen some substantial growth in the past couple of years.
I think that one, I can speak to that a little bit. Planning. Oh, no, I thought you were going to say inspection, so.
No, planning. He's going back by the history that it's already had some growth, and now they're asking for more growth, right?
And so, yeah, so we're adding more employees, and it's just like anything.
Well, let me throw out something on the adding more employees, because this applies to the planning board, this applies to the conservation agent, or conservation commission, and this applies to the inspection department. So 2 departments are for a new part-time person, and 1 is for a change in level of an individual. So one of the very first things that Mr. Jennings is going to do when he starts is to look at job descriptions and roles, and then after he does that, so that will be in his first 90-day plan. He's already said that. And I think we've also talked generally, but we haven't specifically put his 90-day plan together with him. But then to look at a pay matrix comparison of neighboring towns. So the person that's asking for a level change. So I would advocate personally that those 3 increases we put on hold until he can do his evaluation.
I would say the exact same thing. I would agree with Mr. Anderson and say that I don't think we should be starting any new positions or anything like that when we have any increases and stuff like that, when we have a new town manager coming in and there.
We kind of have a bunch of good information coming in, so.
Yep, so we're going to say no to all that. I am,
It's
actually.
like anything, I think it's harder to like, obviously let someone go once you hire them on.
Yeah.
Let them on in the first place.
You never know. Sometimes you're going to get people in before the new person starts. And you can't get rid of the person.
I just want to say that related to inspections, that's one department that's actually generates money.
Yes, it does.
And we did notice some growth there, but we had assumed that their own fees were covering that growth, and we just wanted to verify that with you guys as well, that you felt that was also true.
I don't think we definitely, we can't definitely.
I don't know the answer to that exactly.
That is our objective. I don't know. We can do that. It's very simple because there is money being brought in and can be calculated to that. But I don't think we can sit here and tell you if that is the case right now.
And that was our basic recommendation to inspection, is just, from year to year, if you feel like raises are, just periodically just be looking at that, like you need to raise your fees, or your fees covering your expenses.
Yeah, but we need to.
That might be more just simply increased hours. I think we added some hours for inspection.
We're talking about inspection now,
Yeah,
John.
Not here.
No, that was just a rate increase. But yeah, but I don't want that to be an answer either. Just increase more taxes. That's more taxes. That's just an indirect tax to people. So that's not that too needs to be evaluated before we even consider that, and that's on our plan also.
Well, granted, and we should compare ourselves to other towns.
Yeah, because we took an increase. It's been a while since we increased it. 3 finance directors ago. So, yeah, before Warren. No, I thought.
Hey, what else, Brad?
I know they're high because I got land-based.
I want to confer with the other committee members. Is there anything you feel like we've missed?
They're all saying yes, I think.
And those were the articles. So do we want to segue to the articles?
No. This may be a question for Andy, but under the Board of Assessors, vehicle allowance increased from 1,500 to 2,400. The reason for the increase?
Is it a reassessment year or something? Classes? Oh, they're classes to UMass.
Yeah, that's for the Board of Assessors, not for merit.
So that's a mileage reimbursement?
Yes.
Okay, if it's a mileage reimbursement, that's okay. But a vehicle allowance, because that's what it says, vehicle allowance. Would a mileage reimbursement go under a vehicle allowance? That doesn't seem right.
Expenses, I think,
Yeah.
Okay, I'll read
And their expenses went from 38,400 to 41,000.
I think one of the maintenance contracts went up. I'll have to check and.
Oh, I think you're right, actually. Yeah, I think you're right. Okay.
Might have been Patriot.
Okay, my final budget.
She was talking about that when she was up with you guys, I think.
My final budget question is, there's a new line item under recreation for Action Cove Playground. I just wondered, it's $5,000. What is it?
That was requested by, is it Tom?
Tom Flaherty as maintenance to the facility.
He didn't go into detail what it was for. I can call him and find out.
Gary, what kind of maintenance on Action Cove do you ever have to?
Do you guys have an answer to that? He has an answer to it.
Yeah, we do.
He has an answer to it.
Thanks for your calls, if there's fees or something, we have to take care of.
As far as we understand it, it's for a special type of mulch that's designed, I guess, engineered for playgrounds and other things like sand. But I guess other than what would be considered DPW materials, but those specific for playgrounds.
Okay.
So they shouldn't be.
As it was explained, I guess that was just like a safety thing that they recommend.
Okay.
So now is that obviously if it's in the line item, that's a recurring cost that's going to happen every year, and if it's not, it needs to be an article.
I'm not sure what the replacement schedule is.
Like 5,000 a year for mulch.
It's special mulch. You bounce when you hit it. I don't know.
I spoke with Tom about this, it's special engineered mulch, and it breaks down very rapidly, and it is required in that safety report that was put out of that action plan.
Yeah.
The mulch is fairly big.
The mulch was an issue in that, yeah.
Right, so. safety
But again, is this a one-time thing?
No.
No, it's ongoing.
It breaks down all the time.
Oh, so you have to replace it every year?
Yes.
Oh, I thought the breaking down of it was the good part, so it didn't. Oh, no.
Every 2 years, you gotta dig it out, put new stuff in, so it breaks down.
Then why aren't you doing it?
To keep the kids safe.
No, I'm just busting him. I'm asking him why he's not doing it. He's too busy up at Page. You should have that already done for the season, Gary.
Okay. I think we're done with the budget.
You guys have any more?
Articles?
So this will transition to the articles.
We never seem to. So before we leave the budget, because I know you want to go home and get your beauty sleep, Joe.
No, I have a bunch of things I want to talk about tonight. Seriously.
Yeah, but I want them to feel like they've spent some time. So we're going to talk to the chief. We're going to ask him to come in. He's going to come in with you. We're going to ask the community center people to come in.
Well, on police, we also asked Andy to give us a breakdown of the department budget.
Well, no, I think somebody told them to send it to them. Send it to us too?
Both of us.
Okay, yep. And then...
The breakdown.
Okay, the breakdown.
Yeah, no, I thought I already sent it to FinCom, but I'll resend.
Okay, and what else, so we got some stuff here. And we're gonna do that, and was there anything else?
We're going to ask the community, we're going to ask
Yeah,
Vanessa to come in.
Yeah, they're gonna spend out what, spending, and I said that, we're gonna ask the CCC people to come in.
And for him to come in.
We want the chief to come in at the next meeting, so we can talk about his budget.
Vanessa.
And Vanessa. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, and you want a better understanding from us about stabilization. Okay.
Well, we should make a determination if we're going to.
I think what we need to do with that is like see where we're at with the end of the budget and then make a decision.
Okay.
Why not just put it in and then you start looking at it?
Because you can't put in $300,000.
You can. You're not going to like it.
I would not vote to put in $300,000 and raise taxes to that level.
But then we'd have to take things out. How much are we putting into the Page school stabilization? 315.
The high school.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the high school one.
Yeah.
315.
Yeah.
So it's up to you. I mean, not up to you, but we have to have these discussions. I think we're just assuming that recurring, we haven't had that a major of a discussion about where this recurring debt,
And that rolls into the
aging debt.
transition of the articles.
Go ahead.
That was the major discussion we had with the school article, right? So I think
Yep.
everyone on the board was in favor of putting money away for the high school project.
That's good.
But again, the question in the back of our minds was, does this, again, take away from stabilization, and how do we feel about that? How do you guys feel about it? But I think, would the board agree that we were in favor of the article without any reservations? With some reservations?
Yeah, no, but we're equally in favor of funding stabilization.
Yeah, I think the answer, without giving an answer on stabilization, we need to, at some point, relatively soon, we need to fully fund it on the tax rate and based on their schedule. And, that's not going to happen this year or next year, so we need to kind of wean ourselves we weaned ourselves off of it, we need to wean ourselves into it with a plan, with a strategy, and I think the 5-year plan that we get will probably help us do that.
But see, why can't we start weaning down?
Weaning down.
I said weaning now.
We should.
Okay, so let's
Need
wean.
numbers, though.
Need numbers from whom?
We need an add up of all these changes that we're going to make and see what our budget looks like.
But we shouldn't, okay, but that's not a good weaning. That's just say, hey, if we can afford it, and when we can't already. You already said we can't. In your theory, we can't because you don't want the taxes to go up any more than 2%. So why don't we put $100,000 in there? That's a good weaning start. And if we have a
We
take,
may be able to, but I don't know that yet. I mean, if you're looking for a decision tonight, I mean, I'm not voting for it tonight. I mean, you can.
we're not voting on anything, but until we start weaning it, really doing it, we don't know what the numbers look like. And maybe, like he
We're
said,
all
we
in
have to
agreement
make.
We're gonna really do it. Can we start talking about the articles?
No, so, okay, hold on. So we're all in agreement, we're gonna put money into stabilization in the
Yes.
line item this year.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, that could be $1, it could be $200,000.
There you go.
So, I'm not speaking for, not to speak for the entire committee, but I think since we've had a lot of discussion about this, why shouldn't we, approach it from fund and then back out some of the items that we have looked at and felt maybe are not as much of a priority as the finance committee feels the funding and stabilization amount is.
I mean, you can. I am of the opinion to work with the department heads and have a conversation with them versus making arbitrary decisions.
I want to hear the facts before there may be some particular.
I'm not going to cut the police budget without talking to the chief.
Exactly.
We wouldn't ask you to.
Yeah, no, I was saying from a planning perspective,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay.
So, like I said, put the $300,000 in there, and then see what it does, and then you back away from it. You don't have to.
So our summary of this.
That's what they're asking you to do, Joe. You just don't want to do that.
No, I don't.
That's all.
I absolutely don't want to do that. Was I not clear?
Okay, we're not gonna get
But
anywhere. Let's-
it's your budget. You do it.
Regardless,
if you want to
we're
do
very
it.
much in favor of this article with the one caveat that we would consider maybe decreasing it slightly to put some towards stabilization,
Okay.
if that's the way we want to go.
Okay.
So would it break down of 215 in that, and then $100,000 in our stabilization?
Something to consider.
And that's
Even
a-
if we get to the process, we're putting money.
I would be happy with that.
Yeah, me too. So,
Like I said,
Remember, everyone gets hung up on the different parts, but okay, if we're taking 215 now for the school, that means
We're going to have an override for that amount more later.
it's,
but that's what it's about.
I know, but
But we shouldn't play a shell
ultimately,
game.
it's all
But no,
the same.
we're playing the shell game.
We shouldn't play a shell game to put, when
No,
the
you-
school
no, you-
override
but-
comes,
but you-
to make it bigger.
Everyone is thinking, okay, if we put some in the regular stabilization and we put less in the school stabilization, that 3 years from now, things are gonna be different. It's not, because you
No,
still
but at
have-
least you're doing
Let
the
me finish.
accounting.
You've talked a lot. It's still gonna be the same, because you're gonna need to still buy the same dump trucks, and the school isn't gonna be any cheaper. It's just that you've allocated where they go a little bit differently ahead of time, but you're still gonna the total is still gonna be the same.
Right, I agree.
Everybody agrees with that. That's
No,
logic.
you're not.
No. I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with everything that you're saying. And we have to have the discussion, or let's just get rid of our stabilization account. If you don't want to fund it every year and do commitment, why do you even bother having a CIC committee and them going through it? If I was on that committee, I would say, we keep on asking them to make it better, make our department heads better, make it better, make a better understanding, and we're not even funding it. So I would say to us, forget it, I'm not spending any time on this. You people don't even want to fund it.
That's
So
not-
until we make a commitment,
That's not true. Can we move on?
well, but what they're asking for direction tonight, and we don't want to give it to them. We're in March.
We don't know the numbers.
What numbers?
The amount to put into it.
No, it's about, are we going to make a commitment to stabilization? That's what it's about.
I'm not going to make that decision in a vacuum.
Okay, you don't have to. It's your budget, not ours. Remember that.
One other issue that complicates that slightly, I missed the beginning part of the school meeting, but is the school budget number gonna, with that two-step program, is there gonna be an additional amount of cost for the school?
0.9. Don't you have a 5% increase
Yeah,
in
I
there,
think
Andy? That's what you were told
You've got it
us.
either fully funded, or is there like a $10,000 savings?
Greg gave me the numbers last week, so.
Yeah, it's funded.
Okay, Okay, so the two steps,
good.
you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
That's not-
No,
We're good.
No, that's already
We're good.
factored in.
Okay, what are,
There was an increase of 5% point something, wasn't it? And you told us, Andy, right from the beginning, that you had factored in 5%.
I put in 5%, I think it was 5.07.
Yeah, exactly. So 07 is the only on that.
So that's moving forward. Most of the articles were fairly straightforward. We just started talking about the bicentennial committee article, so obviously this one's probably fairly controversial.
No, not at all.
But again, it's one of those tough things.
Maybe with Joe, but I don't think it's controversial.
I got news for you, half the town.
We also watched the selectmen's meeting when that committee came in and spoke with you, so we got kind of a background on your guys' initial discussion.
Did they come in to talk to
Did
you?
they talk to you or no?
I believe next week.
They're coming in next week.
Next week,
I went to the meeting on Tuesday, and they have some pretty defined numbers.
So just to get off topic, tell us what you learned anything? Or?
Yeah, I learned a lot, actually. That was their numbers are they're going to have some pretty good numbers for you. Like everything, when Gary goes to get a tractor, or he's going to get a generator, he's asking for $200,000 for a generator. That's a number not to exceed. You know, this is 2 years out, so they're planning and they're using the best numbers they have. So you have to think of it along that lines also. You have to give them the respect that we would give Gary or the police or whomever when we're doing a purchase like that. But their numbers are going to be pretty good, and they were coming down. But
as I recall at your meeting, they thought that the actual number was going to be closer to 200,000.
229, is that what they said?
Yep.
And I'm not saying that's an appropriate amount, but like I said, we're talking about all these things we want to spend, and what our priorities are. And I have a personal opinion on whether I think that's appropriate or not. It's just that.
So,
like again, if we're looking at like other things that are important, it's just to me, it's just tough.
And if they can't justify it, let town meeting do it, and then let the town speak. But when you talk, but see, remember their budget is their budget. A lot of things are going to be self-funding also. Wait until you see their numbers.
Like I said, I suspect that this is like down best case scenario from the listening to her speak. I mean, like I said, she's talking more 220, 230, 240. But the interesting thing about her discussion was she was talking about they're using like a party planning software that like plans a wedding. But I think in a lot of ways, town funding for things is probably much different than a wedding. There's probably some town in the community we can rely on things like community service to help out. So I just wonder if there's a different model we can use to try to like have the same effect, which is the community coming together and celebrating our community, but not at like a catered wedding type price level.
So I want to tell you,
Ms. Grammer did out the numbers for per person cost based on this article. Remember what that figure was?
If you assume it's about $200,000, it comes to about $125 per household, which is a not insubstantial tax on people, and not everybody may go.
So I would, when they come in at a minimum, I would ask like per event, what's the event, what's the timing, what's the cost, and what's the projected number of attendees at a minimum. I would ask that.
I tried just reaching out to Mike Dwyer, because I know they do the fireman's pancake breakfast, to get a sense of what do you guys spend for that breakfast? Are those numbers commensurate with what they kind of listed there?
On a per person basis,
can I?
he's asking. Let him talk.
Yeah, I know.
You're interrupting.
Yeah. Can I? They had very, very rough numbers when they came in. I keep on saying, wait until they come in. All these questions will be answered because they had that. When you go back on your software, you have to start somewhere.
Okay.
Hold on, no.
No, but we're speculating. We're wasting
I'm gonna.
time.
No, we're not.
Yeah, we are.
No, I'm not. You have.
Yes, we are.
Can we move on?
He's asking me a specific question. They start. You asked a specific question. Maybe they should use something different. They didn't do that. I'm just telling you. This is what I went to their meeting, and that's why I said you need to wait for their presentation because that's where they started, and they redefined it using what you said, using the paid school, using parents, using PTO, using Mike Dwyer in the pancake breakfast. Now they're at that level. They were just too broad in the beginning, which you were right, and they would agree with that. Wait for the presentation, and all these questions will be answered.
I don't want to minimize the work they've done.
Nope.
I'm so thankful for them for doing it, because it is a very difficult task. And it's not meant to minimize that, it's just a question, again, if that model fits like a community service, town center model. That's it.
You wanna go through these individually, or just some that,
I'm just looking for
that
the
are
ones
red
that-
flags?
Just the
for
ones
you?
that are questions.
Do we have any questions of the articles of them?
I have
Sorry, there was an administrative question for the article for $36,000 for the cover the police officer's new contract for 2018. Forbes come up and explain. It says mostly meets the position, so I wanted to make sure you articulate it correctly.
Thanks. I actually was just looking for a little bit more understanding of the budgeting process and how that relates to the $36,000 request, and whether in the 18 budget there was any growth factored in prior to the negotiations.
The answer is no. We purposely, I don't know purposely, but I think we did, we purposely did not put a new number in with a, say, a factor of an increase of whatever, 4% or something, so that it wouldn't influence negotiations to the effect that, well, you've already budgeted for an increase of X number of dollars. So that was basically level funded, and the 36,000 was calculated by Andy from what our contract will ultimately cost us retroactively. So,
did that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What else?
So I guess we haven't met with the committee yet, but probably the only other big article or maybe some contention is the Brown Spring Farm article.
Okay.
We haven't really spoken about this as a committee yet. But so if you guys have any concerns or questions, but it's something I think we should start talking about now, because it is a substantial.
Ask the question.
yeah, please.
So Joe, I believe I've already emailed you about a couple of.
How much can we talk about this? I don't, okay, I just want to make sure that we're aware. That's why I said,
we cannot
I
talk.
just said that just so we just don't answer a question we're not supposed to.
So I'm
That's
gonna
it.
start with my personal comments, and if any other committee members have any opinions, please speak up so you can have your voices heard. But the biggest issue I have with the article is, it seems to me like it would be more consistent if you were saying, we have this open space and we want to conserve it. And the town thinks it's worth investing the money to buy the whole property and own it as a whole, because in that regard, the whole town pays for it and the whole town equally benefits from it. The reservation I have with this current article is, you're asking the town to pay $200,000 so that one party, the seller, benefits, one other party, the buyer, benefits, and the town perhaps gets some tangential benefit of, maybe we have this nice farm stand, maybe we don't. But again, that's not it's not equitable to everyone in town. It's very disproportionately favoring some folks than others. So that's my first area of concern. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's something to consider.
You want to address that?
So say, yeah, any comments?
No.
Like,
Well, no, we can. We're not.
I mean, that's a great way of thinking. I mean, that's a good. I mean, that's a way of thinking. But that wasn't like a question. That was just kind of a statement.
Well, I think it just sets a tough precedent, right? Because now it's like, well, when I sell my house, do I want to have CPC pay me $200 so I can get the price I want?
Well, no.
Well, this isn't the first time. This isn't the first time this has happened either in town.
Right, it's just you're saying it's just not an unequitable use of town resources. So I
Well,
think that's
it's a conservation restriction. So what the town is getting from it is that property will not be developed. That's what that's the value that town is getting. So that's the question that the voters have to vote on.
And again, along those lines, at least the documents I reviewed, it was still noted that building single-family houses is still acceptable use of that property.
And so who's to say they don't just parcel up with a bunch of single-family homes?
No, that would be part of the.
That's what a conservation.
That's what you're buying. You're buying a conservation restriction that's going to be very detailed.
So that was my question, so there.
And that would be, that would not, that's one of the things would not be able to be happen. What would happen would be that there's 10 acres there.
Right.
You have a home, and there would be a certain amount of acreage, maybe like just hypothetically 1 acre. That would, yeah, okay, that would go with the home, and then just say the 9 acres, there would be a conservation restriction on it. $200,000 from, well, you saw, well, he saw. Well, that was, wasn't that part of the
Okay.
that's all public information. It was part of the CPC application, and $150,000 from Greenbelt, and then that conservation restriction would have restrictions that you could farm it, you could, do things like that. It would, if ever, there's no sunset clause. That would never be able to be developed. That's the point. So you're gaining a farm, to be the devil's advocate on your other side of what your comment was?
How do each of you specifically feel about subsidizing the sale of someone buying a house? You're in the town subsidizing.
Yeah, I mean, let me just offer this. So there was a different conservation restriction, and I had the same opinion a few years back, and you would vote no then.
I'm just curious how you guys specifically feel about that issue.
Oh, how I would vote?
Well, I would prefer.
CPC, so
Okay, but hold on for 1 second. I don't think that's an answer we probably shouldn't answer, because we're negotiating right now in executive session the conservation restriction. So telling us how we feel about certain things in a public meeting might compromise that negotiation.
Okay, that's fair. But
things might make it better or worse.
Yeah, I don't know, but see that's when I said, can we talk about that? That's what I meant.
This is very one-sided. I do want to say maybe if it's that's suspect they'll vary.
They do vary, and I tend to be much more favorably inclined toward conservation restrictions. I think there's often a large benefit to the town, but again, this is opinion, we need to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing that you guys want to look at, that's the most important is the conservation restriction, because that's what you're buying. So you want to make sure that you know what that conservation, after we've done it all. That's the thing we're buying. So you want, hopefully soon.
Not anytime soon.
It's a piece of property, it's intangible, but
it's
you have to decide whether it's of value to the town.
And what you can, we're buying the restriction.
I didn't hear.
Say it won't stay that way anyway.
Nope. Yeah.
It's not a guarantee if you don't buy it, but it won't still stay a farm, right?
Correct. Who knows? It sat there for this long. Who knows?
Again, another hard question for you guys. So we're saying we're $300,000 short of stabilization. Here's $200,000.
That's
No, but that's
community
CPC
preservation
money. See, no, I want to tell you, that argument that you're doing is on town meeting floor. It's already gone by us, because it's gone CPC. We might not put it on the warrant, but if we didn't put it on the warrant, somebody with 10 signatures would already do. So this is going, no matter what we say, and our failings, this is going to town meeting floor.
But again, I think what's important is, I think the town will look to you guys for guidance. If you a 3-0 vote in favor, I think carries a much different opinion to the town than a split vote or a negative vote. So even if it's still going to town meeting, I think there's substantial, people will look to you guys to see is this $200,000 well spent? And again, given things like renovations for schools, there'll be other uses for CPC funds. So I think it still takes, I don't think we should look at it, always have CPC money, so we just use it.
No, that's
that's fair. That's fair.
That's one thing. Everyone always thinks, it's CPC money.
It's free money.
It's money from heaven.
It's
not. It's mostly our money. Yes.
Yeah. Any?
Just one point on it is that one thing to realize.
Make sure that's on, Mike, please.
One thing to realize is that this CPC money is coming from the open space reserve. So this money can only be used to purchase open space. So, I mean, the question isn't this versus repairs to a page school, because
It's a different fund.
It's buying this open space or buying
other open space.
And you could make an argument that, well, you made it, that, maybe we should buy space that we own and then will be available to the public for its use, as opposed to spending it on something that would become,
used by, the farm, so.
You know, like the Dunn,
That's the question, it's
like the Dunn property, if you want to go down there and snowshoe or hike, you could do that because we own that. Just because we're buying a conservation restriction, you won't be allowed to go on that land and snowshoe or hike. There might be some hiking trails that are incorporated into it, but you won't have the usage like you would have a town-owned usage. All we're doing is buying a conservation restriction, so it stays a farm, a certain things that we're going to allow them to do there. They can't build a casino, and then you know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
all the more reason is to consider it, especially with, like I said, there are other things in the works that CPC money could be used towards, so.
Okay, any others?
Other articles?
Any other articles that, we want to consideration?
For several of them, we would like to put in sunsets.
What?
Put in sunset provisions.
Mm-hmm.
The police, monitors and various other things we are going to suggest sunset provisions.
Good.
That's good.
Can you send us a list of specific recommendations?
I just thought this, Mike O'T talked to me late this afternoon, so that everyone has a heads up. The article that they were requesting for half from their enterprise fund and half from their stabilization fund for about $130,000 that they were going to use to make repairs to the inside of the pipe stay water tank. He would like to change that to approximately the same amount of money, but for an item that has literally just popped up. He wants to do this later, put this on the back burner.
So he's canceling this, and he's going to have a new article.
For a similar amount of money, yes. The board has to decide whether we allow, whether we're gonna go.
You want to, what is it?
Well, I'm gonna tell you. So he wants for the new Break Hill tank, so it's confusing because we're talking about two different water tanks. The new Break Hill tank is initially they were going to electrify the tank using solar panels, and perhaps it was going to be tied in with putting a tower for the fire department, broadcasting emergency, and instead that seems to be a little bit perhaps not going to fly, and it would be better to have the new tank connected to the grid rather than being completely dependent on solar panels and a battery in case it's not necessarily the sunniest place up there, and if the say the panels weren't, say it was a snowy period, the panels were covered up, the batteries might only last for five days. So the take-home message is they instead of slowing down their the engineering and construction of the new tank, which is going forward, it's being worked on. They want to now scrap the using solar panels to provide the electricity for the new tank, and put in trenching, put in conduit, and connect the tank through the area that's been cleared with conduit. And he figures that will cost approximately the same amount of money, but he has to get bids on it, and but
okay,
he would really like to do that.
Okay.
So that's where that's.
So the only thing I would ask him out of there is the saving. There has to be some type of savings for not doing the other thing. So how much money is that? The solar panels and stuff that was already in his budget. So there has to be some type of savings for that. So I would minus that from the amount.
Okay.
right? I mean, I don't know.
I asked him about, he said that obviously we can't add this cost onto the borrowing that's already taken place. We can't, this would have to be a separate thing. So that your point is well taken. There must be some savings because they had to have been planning on.
I would hope. Okay, anything else? So I would, so we have to make a motion to.
Do we agree to accept that change if he provides it? Yes.
Yep.
Given
If he provides it to the FinCom in a reasonable manner.
So the other potential article, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, Mr. Bill has an article for a generator for Page School. Are you aware of that? No, you were here before. Okay.
First, that would be a CPC thing.
So you might want to share that with him, the generator article.
So they can start talking about.
So they, what?
We already spoken about it. We haven't received the article yet, but we are
Oh,
aware.
you've already covered it with him? So you don't need to see him on it? Okay.
The only question we had for Gary was, we were getting ready to vote on the Page School Children's Castle town building improvements and repairs. And again, the amount requested was $100,000 ? We just wanted to get a final number as to, is $100,000 what you want, or is it something different?
If the, CPA for the generator passes, yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay. That was just the one.
So the $100,000 will be fine?
Yeah, as of right now, yeah.
And do you have specific things with that?
We just want to make sure, because we didn't want to approve an article, $100,000 ? Because,
Mm-hmm.
we want
That's
to
fair.
use some slightly more specific language. Up to
$100,000 with 2 question marks.
Right. So we just wanted clarification. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, during this electric issue, this was, yeah, a little bit more.
Yeah, any other issues you feel like we need to discuss?
Thank you, guys. I think you raised some great questions, and we'll definitely follow up, and we'll talk again when you're in a few weeks.
We appreciate your time.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Okay, we have a few more things to.
When are we gonna vote on our stuff? Have a discussion. We have
what?
The budget and all that kind of stuff. We haven't had our internal discussion yet.
We should do that next time.
Next time, yeah.
We haven't had
Yeah,
any,
you're right.
what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're just assuming a bunch of stuff.
Right. I mean, we'll have more
Okay.
final numbers.
We all like or hate something.
Yeah. Okay.
Andy, can we get now with this budget, with changes that we've talked about tonight, obviously you'll do a new budget. Can you give us a new projection? You know that front cover page that you did with revenues, and filter it down to this is what the tax increase is? So we have an idea what we're looking at now.
Sure,
So that's a follow-up.
Well, right now, there's not a lot of changes that are written down here. FinCom wants me to reduce salaries of $2,500 for the planning board. You want it back up to the police budget, and then reclass the vehicle to assessing.
Well, that's not, I mean, I don't have all my notes, I closed my book, but we said no to the Conservation Commission increase.
No to the planning board.
For the person, not the whole increase, the person, the planning board person, and then also the inspection department level increase.
We said no to those. And our reasoning was that we want to get a better understanding of it, and we'll have that with when we get the new town manager.
Okay.
What else? What are we moving on to?
Okay, well, we're so out of order, let's.
Town communication social media policy, can we put that off until next week? Because the person that was supposed to meet with Mary had jury duty, and they didn't meet with Mary. Correct, Mary?
That is correct.
Okay, so if we can put that off until next week.
Well,
Some direction on what
yeah, I think I'd like to actually talk a little bit about it.
Start talking.
I mean, Mary was looking for some direction from us. And, you know, Julie and Kevin came in and, you know, they did a nice job talking about some of the, I think they kind of recapped a lot of the past things that we've talked about over the last year and added some value to it. So I think there's some steps that we can take that we need to take anyway. So why don't we take those steps? One is to designate the town manager as the official spokesperson. 2, Archie said at the last meeting, and I agree, having a policy for what we're doing now, what's acceptable as an official web page versus private pages. We need to have a policy. Other towns have that, and we can cut and paste their policy. We have a policy that was in the agenda packet. So I mean, those are 2 things, and I've got some other things too.
I think you know, the work that Julie and Kevin did is like a great idea for making things better.
Yes.
But in how to link everything and how we do better communications.
Absolutely.
But in terms of, I think we should have a social media policy to protect the town legally from until we get to, we don't need to do everything at once, but I think having at least a sort of like a do's and don'ts ahead of time is not a bad idea.
So my biggest...
Put it out there now, and if we want to change it later, we can.
Okay, my biggest fear is that we've created new positions. So we've put Mary in charge of communications. Is that correct?
Outbound communications, not inbound.
Yep, outbound communications, out to the...
Yep.
What does that consist of?
Well, I think we spent a lot of time on that when we put our job description together.
So you know exactly what that is? So you'll be able to start like tomorrow and be able to know exactly what that is?
No,
I don't think that is, and that's what we're going to...
She's going to answer no.
No, but
yeah.
But that's apples and oranges to what he just said.
Yeah, exactly. That's got nothing to do with what this.
Okay, so what you 2 have already got this whole thing lined up. So what do you want to do?
Archie and I
have
not spoken.
No, I mean it's up. So what do you want? What do you want to do?
I just said what I wanted to do.
So I don't know if I want to make, so what, when you say a blanket statement like, we don't have a, we have a town manager, he's starting in July 1st, and you want to make him the, what did you want him, the spokesperson? That's something I don't want to do tonight, so give me a definition of that.
Yeah, I think maybe.
I mean, that's something I don't, give me the definition of that, what that means. So a spokesperson for the whole town?
Somebody has to be in charge, have the ultimate, I mean, by definition, it's his job anyway. But somebody has to have the ultimate call on what is put out. If there's a question or a dispute, that, you know, Mary has 2 people coming to her with 2 different opinions, somebody has to make the judgment, and that's his. I mean, that's his job anyway. So obviously, he'll delegate things like Council on Aging to Teresa. I'm not saying that he's going to take over stuff like that.
So we have a, and see, that's something totally, I never even, when you say a spokesman, I never even thought of those things that you just said. So before we vote on something, I'd rather have that defined, and we don't even need to have that in place for 5 months, for 3 months.
That's fine, that's fine.
When I think spokesman, I'm thinking a tree goes down on 128, hits a person with a horse, who's going to get out and speak? So who's the spokesman for the town? Then you have conflicting things because we can't speak for there's some weird rule about the police. They have their own spokesperson. We can't, even the town manager, I don't think. Those are things that were defined and need to be defined.
Okay, so let's talk about the social media policy.
Yeah, see, I just want to get to one small facet of things.
Okay,
like,
so let's talk about it.
That when a person is blogging about something as a town employee versus as a private citizen.
Where do we get the social media policy, this draft that's dated March 5th?
KP Law.
Say it again?
KP Law.
What is that? I'm sorry?
The firm formerly known as Copeland.
Oh, okay.
They had a draft template. I mean, if you look at, I looked at a number of different towns, and they're all very similar. They've all cut and pasted each other's policies.
So you put this together with them, and you put it, and you gave it to Mary to put it into the packet? Just,
I did not put it together with them. It was on the internet, so that's where I found it, and I gave it to Mary, yes.
In other words, this isn't telling us who's gonna talk about stuff. This is just what's
I
going
understand.
on.
I just want to,
I
I need to
but
know a
so-
background of exactly what, before I even, consider something. I want to know where it came from and what it's all about.
Yep. You've looked at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're doing stuff now, and I don't want us to get in trouble now.
I agree. So now,
I think
now, do we need to change our personnel policies reflecting this? Or is this going to be, you know what I mean, that if somebody breaks these policies, what is going to be, now that they're in place, and then we're going to have all of our employees read these and sign these. If we do it today, hopefully by the end of the week, everybody's going to read it, and then they're going to sign it. And does that become part of our personnel policy? Because then if they abuse this, they have, people are going to ask, after they sign this, me signing this, what does this mean? So what does this mean? That their jobs could be in jeopardy if they,
I would
you know what I mean?
I
'Cause
would
that's
de-
important to the employees.
No, that's good.
It's a good question. I would defer that to the town manager to manage. That's his job. And yes, he's not here for 4 months, you're right.
So we don't need to do this until then. Because if we're asking people to sign these tomorrow or vote on this, it's ridiculous if we don't have an answer for these people.
So what would you suggest on how to enforce it?
Okay.
I don't know, it's
No, but Glenn-
about a good
but Glenn-
discussion.
But Glenn, there's certain things like, that is going on now. If an employee, swears at someone coming into town hall or acts in a toxic fashion, that would not be acceptable, correct?
Yes?
Okay, but, so this is addressing things like that would happen, someone
On
commenting
social media.
On social media,
Mhm.
yeah,
So-
it's the same thing.
So
Right. It's an attempt to give people guidance, that's all it is.
Well, I understand that, Joe.
So,
I
no, but so what
understand
we're-
that. So when we ask people to sign this, and if we're going to put something in place, we need to have answers for them. And I think it's an excellent thing to do. And so we're going to ask Mary, right, to make sure, I guess, right? I don't know what your plan was. We're going to, if we vote this
I
tonight.
didn't plan to do it instantly, I just thought we'd talk about it. But,
Oh, okay, but I'm just saying, if this happens tonight, we're gonna have Mary, who else, right? Say, could you make sure, give this to all your department heads or whomever, and make sure they read it and sign it. And it has to go into their personnel folder. So then I guess this would, if they breach any of these things, we would handle it the same way we would handle if they did something else like that. Right?
The way we would handle anything
That's
else,
what I
yes.
would
Yeah.
say at the moment.
I'm just asking that.
Yeah.
Because I think, unless we have them read it and sign it, like, I think that was important for Mary when and she realized, and she did a great job on that, of the ethics thing, or having that, and going all to the people and having them sign it, and understanding it, bring it back to her, and so forth and so on other things. So, I don't know what the...
Mike and Karen hasn't seen this yet, we should probably have counsel review it first.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Before we go forward.
You have two choices, as far as I see. Under your new legislation, the board of selectmen have the right to make policies, regulations, and rules. It could be, and you've done that kind of informally with selecting policies with regard to signs and that kind of thing. You could fall into that aspect if you wanted. The better choice would probably be to make it an addendum to the personnel policy. And as you say, everyone who signs on to the, employment gets a copy of their personnel policies, they acknowledge receipt of it, they acknowledge, and your audiences of basically what happens if someone violates it, those terms are set forth in the personnel policy.
Correct.
So it's all there. Of course, if you're gonna do that, then you have to follow the process.
We need to go in front of the personnel committee.
And then you have to give out notice to the people that it's gonna be discussed.
And that's the way we should do it.
Well, he said there's two options. He didn't say that's the way we should do it.
Well, he said, well, no, but we asked his advice, and without even reading it, And he said the better way of doing it would be doing it that way. So if you want it to be a personnel thing, we should do it that way. If not,
So
do
what's
it.
the
I mean,
procedure for
I mean,
amending
well,
the?
you make a good point, I don't know. I don't.
Can I ask Mike a question?
Yeah. Sure.
So the policy for, the procedure for changing personnel policy is?
Is that you refer to the personnel committee, and then after the personnel committee gives a recommendation, it goes to you board, and you just have to give, there's a notice procedure.
14 days or something.
Yeah, we have to put it up like at the DPW garage, put it up here, put it up at the police station. Yeah. And then then they have the ability to come in and say, hey, listen, we don't get it, and then we would listen to them, we don't have to make any changes, and then we would vote it. That's what happens.
Okay.
And the advantage there is that everyone that who's now going to be subject to this has an opportunity
To weigh in on it.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
See,
Well, this has nothing to do with the town manager start date.
Yeah, what my nervousness about this whole communication policy was not this, which we need to have this, without a doubt.
That's a standard, this is pretty standard.
Joe,
Yeah.
I agree with you, with 100%. I like to, I want to have a better understanding. Sometimes I just say yes to things.
Right.
Right, without, I want to know, so I think by talking about it, we have a better way of doing it. My biggest fear on this whole communications thing and getting it, and the whole thing, that report that was last week was about, we've made a new position, basically.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know where that's.
No.
I'm pretty comfortable with what Mary's going to be doing.
But you couldn't even tell me what it was.
Well, I don't have it sitting in front of me, what her job description.
So then let's, I don't know, I feel as we're going to ask her to do something, and I don't even have a good understanding of what she's going to do, and I don't want to make it a big deal, but I want to, if we have it in writing and have a good understanding, then it's not a big deal.
I mean, I can
then it
pull it up
doesn't
and read it to
change.
you if you want.
That's what, whatever.
Well, what's interesting is that I got a 4-page report, maybe 5 pages, that they put together. It was fabulous. It was everything and more that we talked about. This is what I'm doing and doing alone, or is this something that is shared? Is this something that, so I'm trying to figure out where this all fits in and what I'm supposed to be doing.
Thank you.
And what time frame and all that to make this happen.
So why don't we have a better discussion about this next week that you can bring and do it all and finalize everything next week, Joe, and even vote on this to move forward with it, the way we have to vote on it to move forward with that, to start with the personnel. I would start this thing with the personnel committee now, and then, but it's all in place as soon as possible. I have no problem with that. Let's do it. And then have a good understanding, because that's what I'm afraid of. And you can't do all of that by yourself. I don't think you can. You're going to have some support, and that's what I'm afraid, that it's going to be overwhelming if it's not really defined. And I don't mean support as in new people, but things that we can help through the cable advisory, about posting things for you, doing stuff. That's it. Because it's all part of communication. Whatever.
Fine. I mean, I thought we had it defined, but that's okay. So the other things that I had in mind were, we need to designate official town social media sites, so we need to make that determination.
Or make new ones if we need to.
Whatever.
Yep.
And then one other recommendation that kind of came out of that Saturday meeting that we had about the Page School. Not everybody could watch the meeting live on cable, and as with social media, we need to be on multiple platforms. Not good enough just to be on local broadcast cable, so I think we should consider broadcasting, and I think Adam can link this in with the video, but a live broadcast of our meetings on the internet. There's platforms like
we're going to be doing
there's
that.
platforms like YouTube Live.
We're doing that.
Good.
We actually, I met with the finance committee last Monday night, and that was one of the things we talked about.
Excellent.
And the new equipment that's coming in will give us the ability to do that.
So
I have direct TV, and fortunately, I can never see any of these.
You're lucky.
Right, and there were people that weren't at home, so that's who said it. So the other thing I think we need to talk about is to give. I mean, Mary was asking for.
And Comcast is down.
For what? Or
Comcast is not is it's Comcast problem.
oh, okay.
No, the Comcast is down because of the storm, and we've been calling them since Tuesday, and they won't, last Tuesday, and they won't, no, whenever we had the Saturday meeting, after the Saturday meeting. Yeah, oh yeah, since last Tuesday, yeah, and they haven't figured it out.
So
And
the other thing is to give Mary some direction on, so Kevin and Julie came in a couple of weeks ago. I think they did a good job to reiterate a lot of the things that we've talked about over the last last year or so, and then also some ideas of some new things to think about. So what's the direction that we're giving to that group of people?
There is no direction.
So they're not doing anything?
Not right now.
Okay, I didn't know.
So what the best thing for you to do is, you seem to have a job description of her communications thing that we probably had a discussion with.
We did.
Okay, yeah, well, I'm not saying that we didn't. I shouldn't say probably. I know we did, right? That needs to be written down for her to have an understanding of what her responsibilities are going to be, right? And how she's going to achieve those, and then we can move on from there and see.
So why don't we, it's in the job description book, so why don't we get it out, and the 4 of us can look at it and review it.
Well, Mary can look at it and see if you have any questions then.
You mean an updated job description from when you changed the position?
Yeah, we gave it to you when we talked to you that day, and then it's also in the book.
It is in the book?
Yeah, we gave it to you too.
You gave it, okay.
Mary, then a good thing before next.
I know I do have it, I'm just saying that I thought it was something that we had a conversation, and I thought it was.
We're going to build it on.
Yeah, that we were gonna kind of try to.
Yeah, we can,
see how, it was all.
Well, that's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing now.
Okay.
Well, I have a feeling that we haven't done that for you. That's why I'm trying to do that, and trying to do it in a way of, so you're not.
More clarification.
Yeah, so you're not banging your head against the wall, spending all day to try to figure it out. Maybe you can get some help to figure it out, and we're all on the same page.
Okay, so what's the next?
So why don't you read what you need to read in that job description thing that we have, see if you have any questions, and then.
So do I meet with Cindy and
No, it's Julie.
Julie, I'm sorry.
I would meet with her or not, or meet with us first. It doesn't matter. If nobody wants to have their help or do it, I have absolutely no problem. But I just have a bad feeling this isn't getting done, and we have to get it done. That's it. And obviously, my feeling is true because Joe kind of thought that we did it, and we did it, and I agree with you, Joe. But she feels there should be another step with direction. And I don't think we're capable of giving you that direction or have a good understanding, at least I don't. And there's the cable advisory, and there's money there to be able to get it done for the town and be able to do new sites if we have to. And there's a funding source for there of what this money is supposed to send. If we need new websites, if we need this, if we need that, new links, whatever we need, there's a money source for there to be able to do that. So if anybody doesn't want to do it, they can take it over, and we can do it some other way. But I could see there was a gap, and there's a way of doing it. So I don't care, honestly.
Well, we haven't transitioned into our new position.
But quite honestly, I think we should understand what that position is before you can transition.
Absolutely.
That's
so I don't know. I know Joe gave,
We didn't talk much about it. We talked about it for a half an hour one day. That's it.
Exactly. It was brief. So I'm just looking for.
We should revisit it.
Okay.
No, not revisit it. This is going to be your job and what you're going to be evaluated on.
It's going to be part of my job.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want it to be your whole job. And I have a feeling how it's encompassing and stuff that it might end up being that way. And it shouldn't be that way. So what I'm saying is, if you, after you read that, you have any questions, I'll stop everything that I'm doing, right, and work it out. It doesn't matter to me.
So should I be meeting with Julie and them
No,
now?
no.
Should I hold off and just say, we're still trying to figure out? I mean, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm following along.
Joe, can you move back for a sec so I can see Joe? Joe, what do you want to do?
I mean,
it's up to you. Honestly, it doesn't matter to me.
I mean, if they want to, I don't know what that's why I was asking what Kevin and Julie are doing, like going forward. I mean, if they've got a plan to make things better, and part of that includes talking to Mary. Have at it. I mean, that's good.
That's exactly what it is. They
Okay.
want to see what so you need to get a good understanding of that job
I
description.
think there was some I think the rub, so to speak, was there was some overlap of like, they reiterated a lot of things that we've already done and talked about, and some things that were new and good ideas. So
But,
it's just to kind of.
but if you're going to do something, you kind of have to start from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean by that?
Yep.
And it would be better, that's why just start from the beginning. We met. Just start from the beginning and then work it through that way rather than, you know what I mean? It wasn't money bad spent that overstuck.
No, I really just wanna make sure I understand what it is the board wants me to do, because
I
I
mean,
guess it was a little
what they have
Oh.
outlined is, let's be honest, it's a heck of a lot of work.
Yes, it is.
That's the whole point. And
Well,
it's-
I
and
understand it's a lot of work, but that's when you start picking and choosing what you want to do and what you
That's
don't
what-
want to do.
that's exactly
So
it.
so this job description is somewhere. So I'm nervous as heck that you don't know what it is, and you're going to be
I have it, like Archie just said. My job description on social media or town communications was a watered down version of that 4-page report. That's a full-time job, that full page.
Yeah,
And that's not, that's.
And that's not,
We're not doing
so
that.
now,
Yeah.
we went from this, our conversation, a half-hour conversation to, this huge report, and I'm trying to find
Right.
out where I fit into this. Is there others gonna be doing some of this work?
what Joe said is in your job description book. So that's where you fit into that. So you need to have a good understanding of that, right? And that's where you fit into it. And if we can accomplish other things parallel to that without you doing it, we do that. And if we can't, we can't. But why don't we have a good understanding of what you have, and I don't even have a good understanding of it, and so then we come back and say, is that what we want as a communication to the town? And we could say, sure.
Or is it overkill, or whatever?
Or if it's overkill, or maybe we want a little bit more. What will that take? You know what I mean? And that's it. What else?
Bad weather policy.
So I think we have a good policy regarding the severe weather. The only thing that it doesn't include, and it's something that we had done kind of, not written in the policy, but we had followed the governor's office in terms of closing for snow.
He has emergency non-essential personnel.
Right. So do we want to continue to do that just ad hoc or make it part of the policy? I just thought we should have a discussion about that. I mean, it's what we had done in the past.
I'm unclear, since it's just.
The governor's office, what was the name of the office, Glenn?
No, it's the governor's office. When he determines that non-essential personnel stay home,
That's when we've closed.
that's when we close.
Okay. What if it's bad here and not bad in Boston?
I mean, occasionally that happens, but
And then
that's not all that frequent.
But so it's the same policy. I thought that was what it was all along, wasn't it?
That's not written in the policy.
It doesn't mention the governor, yeah.
No. Well, I mean, if it's 14 inches in Boston and they have to close, and it's only 6 inches here or 8 inches here, and we can stay open, that's fine.
So, but we have to have one, is it a vote of the board then, or can you have a roll call vote of the board on the phone because that's an unforeseen thing and not make any open meeting violations?
No, you'd have to be here. You'd have to be here. You can do that, but you'd physically, at least 2 people would have to come here. Or go somewhere. That's a good point.
So it might be apropos because we're going to have a good storm on Wednesday anyway. But what do you want to do? Change it to say that it's which I always thought it was, I thought we said that, I don't know how it didn't.
We said it, but it's not written.
But then you have to have a caveat though, that say, but, and or up to the chairperson at his or her discretion. For those weird times when,
Is it gonna change to the town manager?
no. We don't give them that. He's too nice a person, he'll give you every Sunday.
He'll let you go home when it's raining. Yeah.
And we have to have a better understanding of it for people like the library and stuff like that. So when we say it's closed, everyone gets paid.
Yep.
That's what your policy is.
Yep. When the library closes by themselves or delayed opening, they don't get paid.
He's salary.
Yeah, I'm sorry, salary. All of it, but,
yeah.
But that needs to be understood.
But that's a different issue.
I understand, but I just want to, it's not a definition. It was the same issue, because I just want to make sure when we're talking about things like this, that it's to understand. So I would to amend that it would be, when the government declares that non-essential personnel don't need to show up.
And the exception.
Hold on for 1 second. Now, didn't we get into trouble when we did that, and then the dispatch and the police have to be there, and they grieved us?
Non-essential personnel.
Yeah, but when we did it Friday, when we did this one time, didn't we get it?
That was for closing for Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. I know, but we said that non-essential personnel, that was the reason why we don't say that anymore.
Well, I think that's what the state says. They say non-essential personnel.
So when we say non-essential personnel don't work, we're not like with the dispatchers, the fire, and the police, we're not giving them like more days off by doing that. Are we? You know what I mean by that? Could they grieve and say, well, you gave everybody else a day off, we had to work, so we want a comp day? Well, anybody can ask for anything. I understand that, but
the point is that they just, it's part of their job description, essentially.
Okay, so
it's not an extra benefit, it's just the fact that some people designate it's not essential.
Okay. Then I'd make a motion to amend that to that. Put it in there somewhere. Right, what else do you want?
I don't know.
Let me just follow up with that, I'm a little bit confused. Does that still require the board to meet those two and you with that?
No.
You're changing that, is that what it is?
Yeah, it's an automatic, like, so when the governor gets on, when the governor gets on the 11 o'clock news and says, tomorrow we're gonna have a blizzard, I'm asking nobody to get stay on the roads and non-essential personnel, please don't come.
It's usually when it's pretty serious.
It's happened like 3 or 4 years ago.
So that will do away with that.
Yeah,
well, no, because right now the policy is that the chairman of the Board of Selectmen would make the decision on their own. That the board delegated that to the chairperson currently.
So now it's just going to be assumed that the governor does that.
Right.
That happens, yeah.
So then it would be
So does it have to be reinforced, or it's someone, an employee watching TV at 11 o'clock at night says, the governor says that, so did they?
They would know, and then we would do our phone tree thing anyway. I think
That's what I mean.
But
But in other words, are we automatically closing when the governor says that?
Yes.
Or do we want to say, well, actually, that's a good point. Do we want to say that the chairperson, we're automatically closing unless the chairperson decides to stay open, which is, so then we don't have to meet. So that's the exception that Boston gets 15 inches and we only get 6, so we can open.
Yeah, but he doesn't do it that way. When he does that, he just stay out of Boston. You know what I mean? They don't do it.
I mean, I would be more in favor of saying we close when he says close, but the chairman, whoever the chairman is that year, has the ability to say, no, we don't close. So that answers that question that we have. That there's
There still has to be a determination by the chairperson
If we,
he says it.
if,
Yes, I'm going along with, yes, I'm going along with the governor.
or no, I'm not, right. But the chairperson can't close unless there's actually a vote of the board. Only, yes, that would be the case.
You mean outside of the government?
Yes.
Yeah. But are we gonna
How are
get
you gonna
everybody in
make
the
that?
same?
That's cutting down flexibility.
We're lucky, I mean, y'all are here, and we're lucky, the board's lucky that I'm pretty flexible these days. Gary would say, well, not much of it bothers me about pay, and then Archie lives pretty, I mean, Archie's kind of flexible too. So him and I could meet that, you could be in North
I
Carolina.
could walk to his house.
Yeah, but you know, you'd be in North Carolina.
That's true too.
Okay, I wish we spent this much time on the budget. You kept on wanting to move go on. So, okay, whatever you want to do, that's fine with me. I don't care, whatever, I just want to move on.
So what if we say that we close only when the governor's executive branch closes, except the chairperson can make the exception to stay open? Okay.
The non-essential personnel, not the executive.
Well, yeah, so this policy is not, keep the policy, just change that wording.
So the chairman can what?
Elect to stay open.
Reaffirms it, or he reaffirms that, or he says no. Okay, but it still doesn't, so what happens in the other situation where it's fine in Boston and it's sucky here?
Does that happen?
Yes, it does, yeah, it certainly does. Yeah.
We have to have some metric. Maybe we readdress this with the
I don't know, I don't have an answer. I mean, you want to defer it to next time, I don't care.
well, yeah, maybe not. I mean, it needs to be strict, we just can't send people home with stuff.
Yeah, we're not a school system. We should not be closing if there's like 4 inches of snow, like
I know, but you
schools,
got all bent out of shape
schools.
basically, because I send people home for 2 hours. That's bull.
No, that's not why I'm bringing this up.
Yes, it is.
Okay, we'll work it out. Let's put it on next time, we'll work it out. Sound good?
Yep.
Sound good?
I gotta find out how to hear from the governor's office.
You'll hear from, trust me.
On Thursday? No, there's nothing gonna happen this week. Yeah, there's nothing happening this week. We're getting like 3 inches.
No, there's actually gonna be like 18 inches of wet snow.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Is that Wednesday night or Thursday? That's
Wednesday night.
Yeah, middle, during the day on Wednesday.
Heavy snows 4 in the afternoon to 4 in the morning on Thursday.
We getting a lot?
6 to 12, 6 to 10.
Yeah, 12 to 18 or
Okay. I can't catch a break. Anything else? Make a motion to adjourn.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I move that the spring cleanup for the town of West Newbury be April 21st and 22nd.
Second.
Discussion, I recommend that it be earlier. Having done this, the poison ivy is out less, it's.
The weekend before is Patriots Day, so people might be away.
Right, so it shouldn't be St. Patrick's Day, because then you're gonna have to clean up all the stuff that just went, and.
All the corned beef and cabbage
Yeah.
that's been thrown up on the side of the road.
And I don't know, I kind of thought, April 7th. That's just my thought. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't care. I mean, I've done it also, and,
I don't get poison ivy, so
yeah.
doesn't bother. No, if you need it pulled up around your house, I'll come over. I do it for people in town. I don't get it.
The only thing I'd worry about then is we have, what the weather is like. If it's a 40-degree day, there will be less people doing it. That's the only reason I don't think.
I don't care. You guys decide. No, it's a good thing. I never thought about it. I don't think about poison ivy. I don't get it.
If you feel strongly, fine on the 7th, but I would still do it. You decide.
Oh, that's why they do it as Earth Day. That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay, Earth Day is the 20th. Okay, let's do it that day then. Okay.
Yeah, because there's everything's on TV. Yeah, but everything's on TV, and the schools help the environment clean up.
Who runs the program? Who can get trash bags and get people signing up?
She does. She takes.
Oh, she does.
She takes care of the whole thing. You don't have to do it, and they put them everywhere. They do it.
Okay, great.
Just tell her that we approve. Yeah.
Yeah, so, all in favor of April 21st, 22nd?
Second. I mean, aye. Sorry.
Aye.
Make a motion to accept the invoice warrants. Is that where we are? Garden Club application, Tommy. I don't have my glasses on.
I asked Lori about one of them. She's looking into it, so I'm good. No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I move to approve the paper warrant.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
Did you abstain?
One thing I'd like to do is, Gary, are we a future agenda? I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, are we?
Yes, go ahead.
Is there any evaluation, don't have to give it to me tonight, if you could come next week because of the storm, is there any extra costs or anything like that, any trees down, anything that we have to address, or is it whatever, or we all set? Okay, then fine. Okay, never mind. Some people aren't getting their power back until next week, live near the ocean.
Really?
Situate, Marshfield, next week sometime. What else? So we have a good, can we put the budget discussion at our next thing and have the chief come in, have Vanessa come in, have all those people come in at 7 o'clock? And so we're not like looking at the clock going, let's go, let's go. I want to have some real good comprehensive discussion about how we feel about budget and how we're going to, the different articles.
Yes. And then the other thing is the capital improvements committee report is due.
The next one.
3/19. No, it's due next week.
Oh yeah, okay, that's right, 19.
The bylaw is 6 weeks prior to town meeting, so
Mhm.
we should have an agenda item to discuss the capital improvements budget, so
Mhm.
that we know how much, that's a part of what
Are you meeting, Archie, before then?
Yeah,
Do they come in for that meeting?
they should.
Yeah.
We're meeting
So when that
Wednesday
goes
and
over,
the next Wednesday.
Okay.
So who is gonna let planning, conservation, and inspections know? Do we need to do anything about the budgeting on that? Anything?
Not yet. They've requested it, and we're still working the budget out, but those were items that we told the FinCom to take out at this time.
Okay, so what things do we need to follow up on?
Mm-hmm.
Budget stuff.
You're gonna get.
15 million of, is that on the next agenda?
Well, I don't know.
I wouldn't do anything unless you hear from them.
Yeah.
And then
voluntarily put it
then
on.
it's up to the chairperson to decide if it's on the agenda or not. But we.
I won't be here at the next meeting, so I'm state.
So I would ask that I would ask for that definitely not to be on the agenda. Just so we have proper notes and stuff like that. Try to keep it down as small as possible. Just do budgetary stuff. Anything else coming up? So you won't be here for the 19th for the communications discussion either. So then I would I would ask for not to be put on that one, I would ask for that to be on the next one. So when are you leaving? Next week?
17th.
You're leaving so you're away the 17th for that. You're not away I thought you were away the 10th to the 17th.
I wasn't gonna put town communications on. I think it's something we need to, I don't know, converse about, trying to get a good understanding. Severe weather policy is the other thing going on the next agenda.
Yeah.
But this
And then we have
I know we want to get it.
recreation, that recreation is missing a member.
Oh, yeah.
And they want to meet with the board, they've got an applicant.
Isn't that kind of foolish? Because we only appointed to the next election.
You know, because he wouldn't be appointed till after nominations would be available to put the position in. He would basically, I suggested his term be to May 6, 2019.
Is that what the bylaw says?
No, you can't do that. No, we can only have it.
Couldn't put him in the election.
There could be write-ins.
No. Why doesn't he pull papers? Papers can be pulled. The papers you can pull until when? The 5th, the 16th, right?
Okay.
No, that wasn't okay. That wasn't a yes or no. I want to make sure. Hold on, no. We're on two separate things. You can pull. No. You can pull papers until the 16th, correct? And you have to have the 14th, and you have to have them returned by the 19th. Yes. So 4 o'clock, and they have to be returned by 5 o'clock on the 19th.
Right.
Yep. So he can still pull papers for that position, and he should, and we should appoint him, which I always thought that you only can appoint him to the next election.
Unless he's appointed after the election cycle. Okay, so if you appointed somebody on, May, go back, you can go beyond. Because, obviously, if you appointed April 15th, you couldn't be on the ballot.
But this is before.
This is for.
They're playing a game. No, this is a political. I don't know what it is. Okay, but the individual can pull out papers if they have somebody today. The individual can put. No. I'm just saying the individual can pull out papers today. Right, and then we could appoint that individual until the next election cycle.
I know who this person is, but I don't know the person. He's very well aware of that also. He is well aware that he should pull nomination papers. I mean, if he elects to do that or not, that's up to him.
They have some. Yeah, because they have some pretty big proposals coming up, I think, down the pipeline that an election might ferret things out on.
With Parks and Rec.
Yeah, I don't like. Do you see my point?
For 1 year term.
No, he would be appointed until May.
Appointed to the next election.
It's a 2-month term.
Yeah, 2-month term if he was appointed by the board.
That's what he's asking
Yep.
for.
But then it'd be a 1 year term.
Yes, to fill that open position.
Would be a 1 year term.
Yep.
Okay.
Anybody else pull papers? Who else is up for?
Tom Flower. But that's a 3-year term.
I know, but did he pull papers?
Oh, yeah.
I heard we're missing one library trustee.
We'll see.
We had three people pull papers, so not everyone is returned.
We're missing one. Right.
No,
You're going tomorrow night? I'm going tomorrow night. You're going. I heard you're going.
So
right?
for future agenda, where did we leave the bicentennial committee? Are they answering to us or to the finance committee? Where did we leave
Weren't they gonna come, they were gonna have their meeting that you went to, Glenn, weren't they gonna
With the
come back to
FinCom?
us or something, or what were they gonna do?
The very simple thing, Joe, is would you like to see them more to get some better info to see if you want to have that article on the thing?
Well, I think we need to know whether with the vehicle, I don't care if they come in or if we get it from the finance committee. We need to know the event, the timing, the cost, the projected attendees at least. We need more information.
Okay,
in order
hold on,
to
hold on.
vote it.
But do they know it specifically that list that you just said? Because I don't think we ever.
I doubt it.
Yeah, so if we're expecting them for that information,
What we're talking about.
we should probably give them those questions. But I think we talked about everything.
I like your questions, and I think that.
Why don't we send them an email?
Yeah, but I just want to make sure they know it.
Why don't we send them, why don't we ask Mary to send them an email and request that information back to the board?
Okay.
The event, the timing, the projected cost, and the projected number of attendees.
Of each event.
By event. For each of their events.
Why don't you do this? Why don't you tell them they're meeting with the FinCom on the 12th? That's what they said, right? Why don't you say that the selectmen would like that if you could make sure that's ready for the 12th, so that FinCom would have a better understanding, because they were just asking too. And then if they have answers to those, it might be good enough. If not, then we'll decide. Oh, but you're not going to be here.
If we get that, maybe they don't have to come in.
Right. That's it.
Make a motion to adjourn?
The what?
The Pregnancy Fairness Act is going to be effective April 1st. We have to send notice to all the employees of their rights pursuant to it. I've given Mary the NCAB guidance on it, so you just have to vote to give that to them.
So moved.
Do they have to vote?
We have to vote.
Does it become part of the personnel policy?
No, well, you should look at that, but
Good
right
night.
now we just have to give notice of.
Good night.
Is this a federal law or a state law?
State law. What is it, NCAD?
NCAD is the Mass Commission Against Discrimination. They're the ones who are governing it. The Pregnancy Fairness Law.
It allows the husbands to take time off, and we have to pay them.
No, it's just that you have to make reasonable accommodation. Reasonable accommodation with regard to breastfeeding and other aspects.
Oh.
That we distribute the NCAD Pregnancy Fairness Law to all families.
Second.
Discussion?
All in favor?
Aye.
I just wanted to get through that vote before we said anything that would come back and bother us. Make a motion to adjourn. I know, but you can't. So you don't think I wanted to? Aye.